Hopefully we're golden. Are we live? Sometimes I have to hit start stream sometimes. Oh, did it just fucking crash? With highlights and everything. And then the app, when I hit live, was like, nope, we're not going to do that right now. So had to put some stuff back together. But we're here. We are here on draft day. Thank you for your patience. I know we wanted to be live about 15 minutes before, but that's why we aim a little bit earlier, right, for stuff like that. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We're going to have a hell of a night, 32 picks tonight. We're going to be live all weekend. What is it, 262 picks, I think? As of now, I have evaluated 252 players. So I'm hoping to have detailed analysis for every single player. Going to be watching a few more guys, tomorrow morning and Saturday morning. But anyway, obviously have watched all the guys that are going to get drafted here tonight. I do want to say you guys are amazing, not just for your patience to start the stream here, but I know you got options out there, right? You could go be watching Bill Belichick. You could go be watching Nick Saban, the PFF show, Brett Coleman. The list goes on and on. Incredible content creators out there, and you are choosing to watch the live stream here with us tonight. The Teddy Cam is here, you guys, but it's going to take a minute to get. What do we need? My screen. Okay, your screen. We will work on getting the Teddy Cam going again. I had everything prepped, and then the app I used to stream was just like, nope, not going to happen. So we'll be getting Teddy up on the camera soon, but we definitely got to get this show on the road here. There you go. You should be good to go. The Chicago Bears. I got to put my TV up so I can actually see what's going on. Couple super chats coming in from you guys already. You're so amazing. First super chat from. That's not going to work. Can I pull it up over here? Me and Anna, my wife, is our lovely graphic designer tonight. And she is on graphic design duty. So, and does not do that for a living. She is a doctor. But we have to fight over the mouse. So if you hear us kind of chirping at each other, we're fighting over the mouse here. But yeah, sorry, just little disoriented by the technical difficulties to start here, but I want to answer your super chats coming in hot and heavy. You guys are so generous. So from Christian, 4th straight year joining us for the live stream. Of course, Christian, it is good to see you, my friend. Welcome back. From Thoro, thank you. Very kind. Z Easy in the chat. Marchiato. That'd be a good nickname for me. Marchiato. I might have to steal your name, my friend. From Nirvana, in your 2019 deep dive, you said the Giants would waste 5 years pretending Daniel Jones was the guy. Wow. That's how's that for timing? Is tonight the night that 5 years later they move on from Daniel Jones? That could age like fine wine. Good call out, Nirvana. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Who is the what the F pick tonight? Who makes it? My money is on the Packers or Raiders as a legacy pick. I mean, over the last 5 years, those have been two teams that do like themselves a good old-fashioned reach. I think Brian Gutekunst has earned a little bit of benefit of the doubt the last couple years, but we don't know if we're safe from that old draft strategy quite yet. And the Raiders, I feel like ever since John Gruden is no longer in the building, they've been a little more safe as well. But I did actually get a question like that on the podcast, answering your draft questions. And my two teams that I said are teams that like to reach, or I would predict them to reach, would be the LA Chargers. With Harbaugh coming in, my kind of concern, if you will, when they hired him, not that I thought it was a bad hiring, but I had a little bit of concern with them kind of being this my way or the highway style, smash, punch, grr style football, and kind of outdated approach to winning in the NFL. So you have the Chargers sitting there with the 5th pick. All draft season, Harbaugh's been out here talking about the importance of O-line and how they're going to just smash people and be this physical team. If they take that 5th overall pick in a draft, this isn't last year's draft where you're looking at someone I don't know, Tyree Wilson with the 6th pick or whatever it ended up being. Last year's top 10, even into the top 15, there were some reasonable reaches where it just wasn't this great draft class. But if you're in this draft and you're taking quarterback value, wide receiver value, and using that on a reach on a guy like JC Latham, I'm going to pretty much be immediately out on the Jim Harbaugh era. So we'll see what they do. And then the other team I talked about was the Detroit Lions. We saw what they did on draft day last year. They definitely beat to their own drum. So I wouldn't be stunned if Detroit had a pick where we were whether it's Marshawn Kneeland or someone else where we're what the heck was that? But we've got Roger Goodell walking out to the stage right now. I don't know if this is the first pick. Eminem's in the building. I don't think Eminem's going to be announcing the Bears pick. So they're probably just getting the crowd going. I do. Yes.
And then also, does your stream deck work for the grade?
The grade. Yeah, that's the thing.
I'll type it for you.
You'll type it for me?
You just
Okay.
let me know what it is.
All right. Anna's going to help us out with the grade. See, this was part of the technical difficulties was I have my little stream deck and I can punch in my grade for every pick just on the fly, but we had to change softwares to go live here, which I do want to let's get a little music, a little vibe going here. That'll just take a second. Yep. This should be able to just drop right in. You guys can let me know if the audio level is good there on that. And then yes, I have the video ready to go whenever they announce the pick, but I don't know when it's coming. They're gonna mess around and pump up the crowd a little bit. But let's get to our next super chat while they bring out all the Lions onto the front stage. Calvin Johnson, Aiden Hutchinson, Eminem. Yeah, they're I'm sure it's rocking. We don't have the audio going, but Lions fans, I know we had a little back and forth with each other around this time last year, but I got to give Lions fans credit. They are insanely passionate about their Lions football. So I understand why the NFL is getting the crowd rocking right now on primetime TV. But we have a couple more super chats to get caught up on here. So we've got Bubbles. Are the Broncos tanking, resetting, or pushing? They're not tanking. I don't think tanking is in Sean Payton's DNA. They're the hardest team to know. How do they feel about themselves? Because this isn't Sean Payton's first year, right? That's the tough thing. This is year 2 for him. But in a way, it's year 1 because they had to kind of get through the Russell Wilson year. So they're one of the more weird windows for a team. If we're talking about championship windows and are you going in, are you going out? They have all this dead cap too. So I think if they pick their quarterback in the first round tonight, we know that they're, like you said, resetting. Probably not necessarily pushing. Pushing would be trading up to 3 for JJ McCarthy or something like that. But I have a feeling that they are more in the resetting category of those 3 options: tanking, resetting, and pushing. Good question, though. Funkmaster Jeffy, thank you for the super chat. Wade, thank you for the super chat. Marchiato again, my dude, thank you. From ZEZ, has Mark Davis been hearing from his dad from the great beyond about picking Xavier Worthy? it certainly wouldn't be the most surprising draft pick out there, right? You got Xavier Worthy breaks the 40-yard dash time, speedy receiver out of Texas. A lot of people seem to think he's going to go in the first round tonight. So the Raiders to be the team that does that, of all teams, it would not be the biggest surprise. The draft board. Okay, we got to send the draft board over to our lovely assistant here so she can spell everybody's names correctly.
The Bears are on the clock officially now.
Bears are officially on the clock. Let's go. Draft night, my friends. We made it. It's been an amazing last few months, you guys. From the Caleb Williams video in January to the most recent 3-round mock draft, it's been another amazing draft season. I was selfishly hoping that the silver plaque for 100,000 subscribers was going to come in the mail today. I think it's on its way. But that would have been a really special moment to open that sucker up with you guys. I might have gotten a little emotional about it, but it's on its way, man. And it's going to be going like right in there somewhere. But let's keep catching up on your chats. Thank you guys for popping off with the super chats. Truly can't thank you enough. This is always top 3, top 2, top 1 night of the year. Okay, from Hunter. Assuming contract is exactly the same, who do you take as a franchise QB, Desmond Ridder or Zach Wilson? I mean, I would still roll the dice with Zach Wilson. At least there's tools and traits there, right? And there's playmaking instincts there. Desmond Ridder is a true backup, in my opinion. Obviously, Zach Wilson is too, but that one's really not even close in my mind. I'm all the way out on Ridder, and I'm also all the way out on Zach Wilson, but further out on Ridder just because I just never saw any potential with him. And I think you can also look at the situations they were in, and Ridder had it pretty nice in Atlanta, right? Zach Wilson didn't exactly have it so nice in New York. So good question. Next super chat from Joshka Claypool. I'm wondering if you are one of our international viewers with that name, or if I'm not good at this. But thank you for joining us. I'm gonna go with Josha.
All right.
Josha? Anyway, do I think there's a chance that the Bills trade for Ayuk if Thomas Jr. and Mitchell are off the board? I could totally see it. 100%. I think Brandon Ayuk is like the trade piece that we might see tonight. It's just going to be tough for the Niners to keep him. There's a couple other names to maybe keep an eye on. Would be Deebo Samuel if the Niners make the decision they want to pay Ayuk and use that money that they're giving Deebo to Ayuk. And then the other guy, I mean, Pat Surtain's name has been thrown around this week. I would have to be pretty critical of Sean Payton if he traded away Pat Surtain to go up for, the third or fourth quarterback in this draft. So, what's up? Okay.
So you might change it in the draft right now. I can get ready.
Okay. Just bear with us if the grade is like not matching with what I'm saying right away. Again, we had the whole system set up, and then we've had to pivot on the fly here. So just a heads up that we may experience some hiccups with the grades, but we're going to try and stay on top of it. So just a little disclaimer there. But Brosh, what's up, my dude? Happy to see you in the chat. Excited to see who your Finns take tonight. We also have Taulia Tagovailoa at number 1. That was when I was doing the stock exchange mock draft. They gave me the number 1 pick and said it's a what you would do mock draft. And I was like, you idiots just gave the Packers fan the Bears pick. And I'm going to take a 7th round quarterback with the number 1 pick. Flambeau, Who would I realistically hate if the Packers picked at 25? The two guys I really would not be a fan of would be Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, and Kingsley Suamataia, the offensive tackle out of BYU. It's not full on like Quay Walker hate. I could understand the process on those types of picks, and the Packers have a brilliant eye with offensive linemen, so that would be a situation where I would be a little bit more like, I'm willing to give this some time, because both of those guys have fantastic physical tools. They're just so not ready. Like, I don't want Guyton or Suamataia out there in year one, and unless that's a quarterback, I just find it very hard to justify spending a first-round pick on a project. So those are the two names I could see them realistically taking that I would be pretty frustrated by. But overall, it's just such a good draft class. It'd be pretty tough for them to make a pick that I'm frustrated with. So we'll see where they go. The two guys I really want for Green Bay, if they're there, are Cooper DeJean and Graham Barton, the offensive lineman out of Duke. Yep. So the Bears pick is on its way. Definitely got to give my brother-in-law Adam a huge shout out in Chicago. The Bears pick is in. We're expecting Caleb Williams, of course, but Adam, welcome.
Bear.
Oh, it's
it's
fair
down.
Well, let's try that again. Hold on.
Where?
I can't flip it.
Bear down.
Well, thanks for popping in, Adam. I'm sorry you were upside down, but we love you. Go Bears. We'll see you back up in 8 picks as well. New stadium in Chicago. Thanks. Anna got me a Bears cup. How considerate. As I was just rambling about the Packers. But they're going to be tearing down Soldier Field, not moving to Arlington Heights. Okay. I'm a fan of them keeping the team downtown personally, but let's continue to catch up on super chats. Just kidding. The pick is coming in. I mean, not that this one is going to need any big takes, big reactions. I'll still wait till the name comes across the screen, but there it is. Caleb Williams. It is Caleb. It's always been Caleb. The grade is a love it pick on Caleb Williams. Yes, it's like the levels for grades are certified steal, love it, like it.
We're going back to letter.
Okay, we're going back to letter grades. All right, A+, A+ grade on Caleb Williams. Obviously a gift for the Bears that the Panthers were as bad as they were in a year where you have, we've spent time debating if this is here we just got you got it? Okay. We spent time debating if this is a generational quarterback prospect. I think he's closer to generational than he is, I don't know, what a Bryce Young was last year, what Kyler Murray was, what Jared Goff was, what Drake Maye would be, in my opinion, which is a transition for this next pick. He is this type of prospect only comes around once every 5 years or so. And I was really thinking about what I wanted to say here for this. And I honestly think the expectations and the hype on Caleb Williams have been undersold, which is weird to think. Usually these guys get unbelievable hype. It's like, this guy's going to have to win a Super Bowl in their next 3 years. You really don't hear a lot of that with the Bears because there's been a lot of stuff going on in the public discourse with this pick, where you have, obviously, Justin Fields was here. There was half the fan base was saying Justin Fields is better than Caleb Williams. You got to stick with Justin Fields. So right out the gate, the Caleb Williams hype has been basically pushed down to Justin Fields level. Fields is now a backup in Pittsburgh. So that didn't help. You also have a lot of people disgusted that he paints his nails, and there was a fake report a year ago that he didn't want to play for the Bears, which was always crap. Just that didn't help the narrative around him off the field. And the other thing that has really diminished the hype on Caleb Williams is what we saw happen with Bryce Young last year, where he was a hyped up prospect and looked horrible in Carolina. So it's been this kind of perfect storm of people not really putting a lot of expectations on this pick. I think we're underselling it. I really do. I think Caleb Williams comes in to maybe the most quarterback-friendly situation that a first overall pick has entered maybe since Andrew Luck, at least when Andrew Luck first got there. Now, they destroyed his offensive line in time, and inevitably Andrew Luck broke down. But, I mean, that's really as far back as you got to go till a number one pick went to a spot where he's got receivers, O-line, established coaching. I know they have a new offensive coordinator come in, but this is year 3 of this regime. You're also putting him in a big market and a historic franchise. I get that the Bears haven't hit on a quarterback ever, literally ever. Like, Andy Dalton is probably the best quarterback that has ever played for the Chicago Bears. Like, that's what we're talking about here. But Justin Fields, those that watched this stream years ago, I liked the risk they took on him, but he had his massive flaws as a prospect. Those flaws came to fruition in the league. Mitch Trubisky. I don't think I was live streaming in the Mitch Trubisky days. That was the first year we started this channel. But he had his flaws. Let's just say that as a top 3 pick. They had to trade for Jay Cutler, who Denver didn't really want to be a part of anymore. Then you're looking at a long history before that of just not great quarterbacks, right? So a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to Chicago. They're going to ruin another quarterback. And I'm like, this one's different. So there's all of that stuff combines together. And I think there's kind of this lack of buzz about the Caleb Williams pick, whereas I really think the Bears will be in playoff contention and a Super Bowl contender for an extended period of time in the Caleb Williams window. So it's definitely exciting for the Bears and extremely lucky that it played out this way, courtesy of the Carolina Panthers. So Washington is up next, and I am so curious to see where they go. I don't remember the last time I was this curious for a number 2 pick. I'm going to have some thoughts if they pull the trigger on Jayden Daniels. I just don't think he's the level of quarterback that Drake Maye is. And we live in Minnesota. I know every single one of my friends is glued to the TV right now, waiting to see what happens because they will be celebrating if Drake Maye becomes available past this pick. And I do think it would be a mistake for Washington. We'll see which direction they go. I do want to get caught up on a couple super chats here from Echo. Ideal draft for the Colts. Take Verse at 15, Legette in the 2nd, and then cornerback in the 3rd. I like it. I do like it. I think even more ideal would be Latu's there at 15, or even Dallas Turner. The one named Chris, thank you for the super chat. Diana, thank you for the kind comment. Says, I really admire your passion for the game, especially on this night. This is where all the hard work comes to fruition for a big celebration. Evan as well. Justin, my dude, in the super chat. Thank you. Andy from the UK, staying up late for the draft. Love it. Yeah, I said that before I even finished reading your comment. It's 1 a.m. out there, so you're going to be up till 5 in the morning. Love it, Andy. And Donovan, been around since the Sam Darnold Jets Madden rebuild. Wow, that goes way back. Good to see you, Donovan. Which player do you think will be the Kyle Hamilton role in Mike Macdonald's defense. We'll revisit that because the Washington pick, we got some time here. They're putting on some cinematics for the Washington pick. But I think currently the Kyle Hamilton role would go to I'm opening up a little Our Lads action here so I can pull up all these teams' depth charts and pull up player names and all that. But currently I would say, gosh, these ads are crazy. We'll come back to your question, Donovan. Pick is coming in. Here we go. Jayden Daniels. So the grade, this is where I got to give the grade on the fly. I'm going to go C- is my final grade. That's the level of D+. Is it too late to get a D+ on there? We're going to go D+. So there's a side of this where you could be positive and say, okay. So if you do save as and overwrite the file, it should get that screen out of here. Okay. Okay. There is a positive side of this where you can see the upside, the athletic ability, the scrambling, the beautiful throws he makes downfield, which I will admit is a good pairing with a guy like Terry McLaurin, who, slot fades go burr to Terry McLaurin, right? Just like they did with Malik Nabers. I don't know that this is going to be a complete flop, but I just don't understand Jayden Daniels over Drake Maye personally. He's 3 years older. I would argue he has more flaws as a quarterback than Drake Maye, 3 years further in the progression. Drake Maye has incredible athleticism to do some of the stuff that Jayden Daniels does. He's not going to be sensational as an athlete, but he certainly can do all of the design quarterback run stuff. He is actually a better scramble drill quarterback. So a big issue I have with Jayden Daniels is when he scrambles, he is scrambling to run. Drake Maye is scrambling to throw. That's a huge discrepancy between those players. So I would argue Drake Maye is a better overall play extender, at least in terms of projecting that skill set to the NFL level. I think the arm talent is way better. Now, the deep ball accuracy is where you would give Jayden Daniels the nod, but it's certainly not the pick I would make. I think they are putting themselves in a situation where the quarterback that you didn't take is going to go and turn into a superstar. And Jayden Daniels could be a good starter, something like the 20th quarterback in the league where he has some explosive games, incredible highlights where he's outrunning NFL defenses. But is he going to consistently attack the middle of the field in the NFL? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? This is a slender quarterback, about 200 pounds, that does not slide. He takes crazy hits. I think it was Nate Tice compared him to Johnny Knoxville because every game he's like getting into these car wrecks where he's just getting blasted. And that's by SEC defenders. It's going to go to the NFL and it's going to get even worse. So is he going to be able to stay healthy and have the same play style that he has as that really run-first quarterback? I just, again, have more issues on Jayden Daniels, who's 3 years older than Drake Maye. So it's not the worst pick in the world, but we'll just have to see where it goes, man. I think that this has potential to really fire back in their face. He's got upside. He does, but I just don't really see the full-rounded passer in Jayden Daniels to become like a top 10 quarterback in the league, really. Okay, so the Patriots are staying put at 3. This was kind of where we said the draft starts, is with the Patriots at number 3. Were they going to stay and make the pick? Were they going to trade down? Is someone else going to come up for a quarterback? And then if they do stick and pick, is it Drake Maye? Is it a Marvin Harrison? Do they go with Joe Alt? They got avenues here. So this is another very fascinating pick. I think the top 7 picks of this draft are like the most fascinating start to an NFL draft we've had in a while, where we just don't know where this is going to go. My gut, we can rewind to what we said about Washington. The Patriots just got an absolute gift in Drake Maye, who I think should have been the no-brainer number 2 pick in this draft. I don't think the Patriots thought in January that they had a chance at Drake Maye when they ended up, I think this came down to like a tiebreaker at the end of the year. And it was kind of like a bummer when the Patriots didn't get number 2, because it was like, well, they're not going to get Caleb or Drake. So I definitely, with the decision that Washington just made, would stay put, take Drake Maye, and then do what you can to build around him. You are putting him in a pretty tough spot. But let's see what they do before we break this down further, because they might just surprise us and go Marvin Harrison here at 3. There it is. Drake Maye goes number 3. And they are, I don't know if they'll have cameras on the war room in New England, but they are probably laughing their ass off right now. Like, how did we do this? So he, to me, is some combination. Oh, and the pick grade here is going to be an A+. Thank you. He to me is some combination of Justin Herbert and Jordan Love. Really good athlete, an underrated athlete. That's why the Jayden Daniels thing just doesn't make sense to me, because it's like, okay, but Drake Maye runs around, does incredible things. You can use him in the design run game. Does some of those Caleb Williams, plays out of structure where he's flipping the ball to his left hand, getting sacked, and somehow completes a play. Like, he has those really creative scramble drill moments, but just incredible arm talent from the pocket. The big knock on him has been accuracy, and I definitely agree that he sprays throws. I think a lot of it is tied to his footwork, but again, he's 21 years old. He also was a multi-sport athlete in high school. He wasn't going to these 11-on-11 camps and the Peyton Manning summer drills and all that stuff. He wasn't getting all that mechanical coaching. He was I think a shortstop in baseball. I want to say he played other sports too, but he still has so much room to grow mechanically speaking, that I think if you improve his footwork, which with NFL coaching is going to be much more possible than what he was getting in North Carolina, you might see that accuracy improve, because the reality is his arm's incredible. He drops dimes. It's not like he can't throw the deep ball. It's far from it. And I do think the accuracy questions have become overstated as we've crept up to the draft. It's not like Jayden Daniels doesn't miss throws. It's not like these other guys don't miss throws. So yeah, Drake Maye might miss a few more deep throws, but I think it's correctable. I just think this is such a gift for the New England Patriots. Now, the last thing we got to mention here is I've been very critical of the Patriots situation. They have to continue doing a good job with the picks they have and get them an O-line, get them receivers. And if they don't, I don't want to see Drake Maye out there week 1. I don't. I want to see Jacoby out there, who's a vet, who can handle a situation like that. They have to continue doing this the right way. Drake Maye is not a bust-proof quarterback. That just doesn't exist, really. So this is the start of potentially something special, but they still have a lot of work to do, because they have probably the worst surrounding cast in the NFL right now for a quarterback, which is why I was especially worried about them taking Jayden Daniels at 3. So not saying he can't be a bust in New England if they throw him out there week 1 and don't do a good job putting talent around him either. So let's catch up on some super chats. We want the Teddy Cam. Okay, let's see if we can get the Teddy Cam going. In the meantime, I do have to thank the sponsors for this show. Underdog Fantasy, they've been incredible to work with. While I, on the fly here, get the Teddy Cam working, I am going to give us a word from our sponsors here. Today's draft stream is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. As a diehard NFL fan, I get it. The summer months can get a little bit long with our professional sports as we wait for our football to come back. But thanks to Underdog Fantasy Pick'em contests, they can help you spice up your interest in MLB, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs with their Pick'em contests, where you can string together stats on anywhere from 2 to 5 players, and you can cross sports too. You can go Shohei Ohtani home runs mixed with Anthony Edwards points, you name it, all the way up to 5 players with the chance from small entries to win massive payouts. My wife and I are huge Twins fans. We have season tickets, and Underdog Fantasy keeps me glued to the edge of my seat, waiting to see if our starting pitcher is gonna, get his 30-something fantasy points, or if we're gonna get that 7th inning home run I'm waiting on. Even when your lineup doesn't hit, it can feel like you're winning because it just ramps up your interest in every single game. I love Underdog Fantasy. I know you guys will too, and of course, they have NFL when it picks back up, including their best ball tournaments as well. And most of all, if you sign up right now using promo code TFG, they will match up to $100 on your first deposit. That's plenty to participate in all your other sports over the summer. And then you got a stash waiting for you for football in the fall. So that's promo code TFG at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you to We're muted. We're here. We're live. We're good. We're rolling. We good. So I was just saying, Marvin Harrison, the pick is in. This is an A+ pick for me. There was so much talk throughout the week of the Cardinals trading down, getting more picks, yada, yada, yada. You have all these holes, all this stuff. And I get that. But we mentioned the word generational prospect earlier with Caleb Williams. This is an absolute generational prospect here. And at some point, you gotta get those blue chip players, man. And I love that the Cardinals said, nope, we are taking Marvin Harrison, putting him with Kyler Murray. We have a bunch of other picks. They have another first round pick tonight. They have 2 high thirds, I think. Take the blue chip player. I love that they did this. I think they would have been playing with fire if they moved down to 11 and then were, settling for Byron Murphy, I guess. I love Byron Murphy, and even then you don't know if he'll be there at 11. So I think they would have been really playing with fire if they just moved down and tried to finagle the draft. Just get the best wide receiver prospect, maybe. I can't say maybe ever, but easily since I've been doing this. And he's just such a good fit with Kyler Murray, who's had so much success with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who might not be the fastest receiver in the world, certainly can separate, but Kyler is willing to throw those back shoulders. He's willing to give guys a chance down the field. And Marvin, my pro comps on him are guys like AJ Green and Justin Jefferson, where it's just put the ball in his area code, and he's as good as anybody with the body control, handling physicality, consistent hands, elevating for the football, boxing guys out, just winning that body positioning. I think he proved in the final year at Ohio State, too, that he's a little bit better after the catch. And that's before we start talking about he's got a higher ceiling than a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, because his technique and prowess as a route runner is unbelievable for a 21-year-old. Shades of Devontae Adams in there with the release package and all this stuff. And this is a reminder that I have highlights on these guys that I can show you. So let me drop this in here real quick. But this is, the Cardinals have not had the most exciting offseason. To be fair, they had, they had money to spend. They could have made trades. They didn't really do much. Heading into the offseason, there was a lot of hype for the Cardinals to take a leap after playing most of their season last year without Kyler Murray. But being a team that could potentially take a leap this year. And I think this is a pick that needed to happen if they're still going to do that. Because they just... Man, there's so much to like about this pick, man, because they were missing that alpha piece in their offense. Not only does this insert Marvin Harrison as a number one wide receiver there, but it's going to go ahead and make it's going to make Trey McBride a secondary option. It's going to make Michael Wilson a secondary option. It just slides everybody down the depth chart into their natural spot. It doesn't force anybody to be someone that they're not going to be. And it's just going to be a very well-constructed, logical offense, I guess, in Arizona. So very happy for you Cardinals fans. I know in a lot of my mock drafts, I wasn't able to get Marvin Harrison at 4 because I was taking Drake Maye at 2 and Jayden Daniels wasn't going in the top 3. I was taking Marvin for New England. But there's your reality, Cardinals fans. Marvin Harrison Jr., you are an Arizona Cardinal. Congratulations, Cards fans. I'm happy for you. A couple super chats to get caught up on here. And Teddy Cam. We'll get to Teddy Cam. I know. I'm mad too. We had it ready to go. I think I do actually have it. Let's see.
Somebody just said you're running the same film that Bill Belichick is showing right now.
Oh, really? Well, there's the Teddy Cam graphic, but why is it not? Shoot, I don't know why let's try plugging it out and in again.
But we are on it.
Sorry, guys. Teddy is the most sad of all of them. The next commercial break, I'll at least hold him. There we go. Okay, here, Teddy. Come here. He's here. He's been here. He's been in his station, just waiting to be a superstar. There he is. Teddy's here. There you go, buddy. Nice, good shot of you. I'll just hold him up for a minute. Some super chats from Jordan. Thank you so much for the support from. Hey, you a little dope. You being a dope. I know. He just wants us. He is not moving. He's like, what's happening? There you go. Give him a treat. Oh, now we're talking. Uninterested. That one he's. Bug, you and your grandson are back for another year. We're so happy to see you. Welcome on in. From Javier, a lot of Niners fans think that the GM for Washington was responsible for the drafting success for the Niners. Okay, interesting. I think Trent Baalke was there way back then, right? Who is not exactly loved by most Jags fans. We also got Adrenaline. Thank you. You hope the Saints buck their trends and trade back into the late 20s. yeah, they're usually an aggressive drafting team, but definitely a team we've talked at length about, a team that needs to be a little bit more realistic about their window and their expectations. So it would definitely be a sight for sore eyes. And then Josh Alstrom, what's up, my dude? Thanks for popping in. Good to see you. I think we're all caught up on super chats. We've got Teddy. We're on track now, guys. All right. So the Chargers are up. And this is definitely another pivot point, if you will. The pick is in. So this was not a trade up for JJ McCarthy or any quarterback. I mean, it would be JJ McCarthy. But that is interesting because everybody was kind of expecting the Vikings were going to make that move, but maybe they didn't think Drake Maye was going to go number 3. So it's hard to know exactly what their strategy was, but I know Chargers fans are certainly holding their breath here because there's been thoughts of them taking JC Latham here. We talked about that earlier in the show being a big reach in this situation and a big concern. Let's see what they do. A concern for the organization. Okay, they took Joe Alt. Okay. Whew. Chargers fans can maybe take a deep breath. I know a lot of Chargers fans didn't like this. I'm going to give this an A grade. I do like this for the Chargers. I would have preferred them to get that trade down done, but hard to argue with a blue chip tackle prospect coming in, and now you have bookend tackles, Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, who just like when Penei Sewell went to the Detroit Lions several years ago, now the best right tackle in the NFL. Incredible athletic tools. I think he'll be able to switch over and play right tackle just fine. I think, was Joe Alt the one that played hockey in high school? Yeah, I think if you can play hockey at 6'8.5", I think you can, put your other hand in the dirt and block just the same way. But I know a lot of Chargers fans wanted wide receiver for Justin Herbert, right? There's still plenty of time. My biggest point on that is when you have a quarterback the caliber of Justin Herbert, getting paid the money he's getting, the thinking is he's going to be a guy that can't elevate second and third round receivers, whereas he can't elevate a guy like Trey Pipkins at right tackle. So I do like this pick for the Chargers, and it certainly is not a surprise that they stayed here and did it. And I'm certainly taking a deep breath that they didn't take JC Latham because Joe Alt is just such a better athlete, so much more of what they're looking for here. So that offensive line is going to be looking pretty damn nice for Herbert and company. And again, this is where it's really frustrating that the original stream wasn't working for us because I was going to be able to just press a button and have the highlights play. So I got to try and do a better job of remembering to drop these highlights here in for you guys. We do have some super chats from Homie Yosh. Do I think the 49ers have a greater need for slot corner than O-line? I would just say no, they're both huge needs, but O-line is the position of value, if that makes sense. They need all of it. And then from Jonathan, you're taking a birthday trip to London. Watching this on the plane from 30,000 feet. Let's go. I keep hitting stop stream instead of stopping the highlight video. So hopefully we're good to go. And now the Giants have stuck with their pick. They've sticked and picked.
There has not been any trading.
Yeah.
Landed easy on.
Yeah. This is, I would rush the Malik Nabers card straight up to the podium. JJ McCarthy has grown on me, but we give Daniel Jones a hard time, and he's not like the guy, but he's a guy, and he's never had a legit surrounding cast. I think with some of you brought the new O-line coach in, some of the investments they've made there, you give him Malik Nabers to throw to, I think Daniel Jones can look a little bit better. If this was Drake Maye or even Jayden Daniels, who I was hard on, but I do see a very high upside with Jayden Daniels to be a better player than Daniel Jones someday. If you were taking one of those two players, I would do that. McCarthy, it's not that he doesn't have upside, it's just he's such a projection. It's hard. It's hard to kind of decide, okay, is this going to be a quarterback that would be better than Daniel Jones in time? We'll see what they do here. Goodell is walking the card up right now. I feel like the draft is moving a little bit faster tonight, or maybe it's just because we've been scrambling with the technical difficulties. But it is Malik Nabers. I love it. Honestly, I'll go A+ on this one. I think Nabers is, my analysis on him has been, if Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't a thing, basically, Malik Nabers is the best wide receiver prospect I have evaluated since I've been doing this, not named Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's the type of wide receivers that we're talking about here in the top few picks here. But I mean, where do you even want to start with Malik Nabers? I think his movement skills are truly elite. A word that I don't like to just go throwing around, but the long speed's it's exceptional. Long speed, it's awesome, but it's much more with Nabers. The eliteness is in his like change of direction and his acceleration, the way he just warps into the second level of the defense and just ditches guys in their tracks as a route runner, where he does have good technique. He really does. He's not just winning with athleticism out there. He sets guys up. He's got shoulder fakes. He gets open. And he's a big reason I'm a little hesitant on Jayden Daniels, because you watch these plays and it's just, you're throwing to a wide open Malik Nabers all the time. I think Nabers was the elite talent on that offense. So you finally get someone for Daniel Jones to help him, really. I mean, it's not that I'm like the biggest Daniel Jones apologist, but he's going to look a lot better throwing to Malik Nabers now. He just is, man. You're also putting him with Brian Daboll, who is going to move him all over the field, inside, outside, just like they did with Stephon Diggs in Buffalo. They can basically just be like, okay, you're our Stephon Diggs, who, is, I would say, they're different styles, they're different level of athletes. I think Nabers is faster and quicker than Diggs, but in terms of the run after catch that we haven't even mentioned with Nabers yet, being as elite as it is, but the ability to threaten to all three levels of the defense, a deep threat, short, intermediate, you name it. Well, it's quite the suit he's got there. Yeah, I love this pick for the Giants. I really do. And we'll see like how much team success they have this year. But I just don't know that they were, at the end of the day, really ready as a team to put the quarterback into that situation. But now that Nabers is here, the next time they have an opportunity to go pull the trigger on a quarterback, I think they'll be much, much more comfortable doing that. So the next pick here is Tennessee, and I would certainly be looking to trade down if anybody wants JJ McCarthy here, because you were thinking Joe Alt here. I don't know what they were thinking internally in terms of who was going to be available for him, but they kind of control a lot of cards now, because people want Rome Odunze, people want JJ McCarthy, And for Tennessee, I don't know if either. I mean, I know that neither of those players make a ton of sense for you. I think Rome Odunze could be a good pick for them for more of a long-term play. But you definitely don't need Odunze this year for Will Levis because you have Hopkins. You just signed Ridley. They have other ancillary pieces there with the running backs, Pollard, and the rookie out of Tulane last year. Can't think of his name right now. He's on his fantasy team. Okay, they're staying and making the pick. So if they're making this pick, I bet this is Rome Odunze. And I love giving Levis all those weapons, but who's playing tackle for you? Or are you just taking tackle here? I don't know, man. The lack of trades has been interesting, though. We definitely were projecting a lot of movement, and these teams are just saying, you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to pick elite talent, right? Like, there's a reason these teams want to trade up for Marvin Harrison and Joe Alt and these guys, because they're really freaking good players. So, with all of the talk about collecting draft value and get picks and all that stuff, sometimes elite talent is just elite talent. So a lot of you have not been introduced to Ducky here. This is Pomeranian number 2. Little different build. You know, Teddy's more of a Joe Alt, a little lankier. Ducky's more of like a Fuaga, a little more girth. But say hi, Ducky. Yeah, he's been great. He has no idea what's going on. We're just gonna keep you here for a little bit. Teddy's jealous. He's like, brother's stealing the show. We got a super chat from ZEZ. Do you think Atlanta is on edge, or would they think about Quinyon Mitchell? I think they definitely think about Quinyon Mitchell. I think Raheem Morris certainly would be of the mindset that he could see a corner being at least as valuable as an edge player, if not more. I think Raheem Morris is in the sort of modern line of thinking. It's much more, I don't want to say outdated, because I'm actually more of the belief that give me a pass rush to help the secondary. I think pass rush can help secondary more than the other way around. It's kind of my mindset, but there are a lot of modern thinking defensive minds in the league that are like, no, a good secondary helps the pass rush just as much. So I could see Raheem Morris valuing the cornerback position as much as an edge player. And if that's the case, who do you have a higher grade on, right? Dallas Turner or Quinyon Mitchell? I think in my case, I have a higher grade on Quinyon Mitchell than Dallas Turner. The guy I actually have a higher grade on would be Laiatu Latu for Atlanta. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, ZEZ, if Atlanta took Quinyon. All right, say bye, Ducky. Good job. You're next, Teddy. Don't worry. I'm very curious to see what Tennessee's doing here. I'm good, thank you. $2,300 of you guys in the chat right now. By the way, you're amazing. You could have bailed when we were late to get live, when we're struggling with the technical issues. So thank you so much for your patience tonight. Believe me, there's nobody more frustrated than me. I spent all day trying to get all this thing ready to go, and I hit go live, and it's like, nope, not gonna happen. So glad we're all caught up. We're up and running. Titans pick is coming in.
Just a humble bounty hunter, man.
Here we go. Near. You can slap a big old... No, not going there. I caught myself.
Thank you.
I am giving this a D grade to the Tennessee Titans.
Don't talk to your wife like that.
Oh, gosh. We're not even an hour into this thing. I mean, look, a lot of you guys who have watched my videos know I'm just not a big fan of JC Latham's game. He's my 6th ranked tackle in this draft. So to not trade down when I think there were teams that would have come up here for a McCarthy or an Odunze or whoever, that alone is a big issue for me. I think this is a reach. But then you get to the fact that they passed on significantly better tackle prospects, in my opinion. So JC Latham is a massive human being. 6'6", like 335 pounds. He's got prototype arm length, like 34 and a half, 35-inch arms. But as a pass protector at tackle, I'm really worried about him. And I know you don't scout the helmet, but it is very similar to what has happened to Evan Neal, who I liked Evan Neal better as a prospect, but Evan Neal's foot speed has gotten him just burned and benched within 2 years for the Giants as the 6th overall pick or whatever he was, 4th overall pick. And with Latham, it's not that because you need 2 things as a tackle. You need the explosiveness into your kick slides to get that range to protect the corner so these speed rushers can't just run around the edge on you, right? Like you think of these big tackles, sometimes you're worried about that, where, you end up going against a Hassan Reddick or whoever, that they're just going to burn you and bend around the corner. It's not that I'm worried about that with JC Latham, but I think he has actually such an explosive kick set to protect that corner, but really poor change of direction in his hips, and he's got these really heavy feet. So he's got like this loaded base so he can explode out of it, but with the more subtle movements, when you're not, they call it uncoiling in the business, where you start in your stance ready to go, the stamp's coming, he can explode and get that depth, right? But once he's moving, he really struggles to slide his feet. And college pass rushers were able to be like, okay, well, I can destroy you with inside counters all day. Spin moves, swipes, swim moves, inside. Even sometimes not even touching JC Latham, just threatening with speed and then running inside. And the thing is, I don't know that that's... Like, if your idea is, okay, we're putting him with Coach Callahan, the offensive line coach, who's known as one of the best offensive line developers out there, I don't know that that's something he can really fix, because I think it's a physical deficiency. And that's why I think JC Latham ultimately is going to be better at guard, because you can mitigate all of those issues I have in him by putting him at guard. The other issue I have on JC Latham is, in the 3 games I did on him, I was massively underwhelmed by his run blocking compared to Fuaga, compared to Amarius Mims, compared to all of these guys. Really, it was, and I don't know that I've ever actually used this on a prospect, but it is a cliche that goes around the league. Looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane, is what I felt watching JC Latham a lot of times with his run blocking, where it's like, okay, you have good technique, you're getting on dudes, you're using your length, but where's the demolition? Where's the, like, hey, I'm 60 pounds heavier than you, I'm about to kick your ass all game? I didn't see that from JC Latham. So I do not like this pick. Now, who am I to question Bill Callahan, maybe the best offensive line coach in the league? We'll find out, right? Like, you can definitely trust Callahan's eye for this position. They knew they were taking a tackle at 7. I would assume they had him watch more than just Joe Alt. So I could just be dead ass wrong, right? And let's hope I am. Let's hope I am for Will Levis's sake, for the Titans fans' sake, for all these guys. But I just really would not have made that pick. I at least would have traded down to do that instead of just staying at 7. So we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes.
NFL Network is all over this. Going to be Michael Penix. That's what they're talking about right now.
They think this is Michael Penix for the Falcons? Mm-hmm. Wow, that would be something. Let's see. Oh my God. We are officially off the rails, you guys. I don't even know what to grade this. I'm going to go. My head hurts. I did not see this coming. I'm going to go B- on this. B- on Michael Penix to the Falcons. Because there's aspects of this that I understand. Is it too late?
No.
C+. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna drop some highlights in here on Michael Penix, but all right. Let me play some highlights while we discuss this here. So I'm just so caught off guard right now. Like, I haven't even begun to think about analyzing the Falcons taking Michael Penix at 8. It's where my first thought went to was way back early in the process. The thought was the Vikings could take Michael Penix as the Kirk Cousins replacement. So the fact that that's happening here in Atlanta is very fascinating. I actually kind of believe in Michael Penix in this situation, right? Because I am a big fan of the draft and develop as a backup for a couple years, where you have to really work and study a veteran like Kirk Cousins, who's as good of a mentor as you could possibly ask for. They have such a great offensive surrounding situation right now with playmakers and a good offensive line, a young O-line, a young offensive coach in Zach Robinson that I like, that these guys can grow together. So there's a lot of aspects that I like about this. It's just like, I went with a C+ as my grade on this, but I'm just so confused that this was what they decided, because I was so convinced myself that they were going to be all about trying to win right now. Older owner, they signed Kirk Cousins. Signed a defensive head coach. Wow. Okay, so the Bears pick is in, and we're definitely expecting Rome Odunze here, but at this point, who knows where we're going? But it's pretty interesting that we had the former Falcons GM on the channel last week, and he was like, hey, the Falcons should probably be thinking about quarterback. And here we go. They take Michael Penix at 8. So great call there by our friend Thomas Dimitrov, who came and joined us last week. But I don't fully hate the idea of, like, okay, they finally have quarterback security in Atlanta, which after they went through what they went through with Desmond Ridder and all that, it's like, I can't blame them. And Kirk is 37, coming off the Achilles. In a way, there's some insurance there, right? Like, Penix, while I like drafting and developing him, I think that's good for him. If Kirk can't go, I do think Penix is 6-year vet in terms of college football is concerned. I think there's quarterback insurance there, where you're not out there forcing Kyle Pitts and Drake London to play with a backup quarterback. So you would have preferred to help their defense out. It's also, I haven't even mentioned, like, the idea, oh, wow, they took him over Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy. That so much doesn't bother me, actually. I have very tight grades on Penix, Nix, and McCarthy. So if that's the reaction, that's not necessarily something that bothers me. I like Michael Penix. I had concerns about all these players in different areas. So for me, it was a tier with those three guys together. So it's not so much like, oh my God, they should have taken McCarthy as the draft and develop guy. It's like, I mean, Michael Penix was a much better college quarterback than McCarthy. So it's fine. All right, Bears pick. This is Rome Odunze. Chicago Bears, welcome back to relevancy. Yeah, that's a phenomenal pick. That's an A+ certified steal for the Bears, honestly. I mean, they were praying that the board was going to fall like this for them. They obviously brought in Keenan Allen because they had to, right? They didn't know who was going to be here at 9. And you love that you have DJ Moore, but they lost their number 2 wide receiver, Darnell Mooney. They lost him in free agency. Huge hole at wide receiver there. So they bring in Keenan Allen, but Keenan Allen is 32 years old, gets hurt every year, was I think on the last year of his deal. So it's like Keenan Allen gave them flexibility to do what they needed to do here at 9, but with Odunze being there, it's an absolute no-brainer of a pick. Ironically, one of the players that Rome Odunze reminds me of is Keenan Allen, where he's not a sensational athlete. He's just not. He's a good athlete. He's a well above average NFL caliber athlete, but he's not gonna just blaze by corners, or he's not gonna run away from anybody. Really, he wins with physicality, with nuance, just like Keenan Allen, who ran like a 4.7 at his pro day or something because he was doing it on a bad foot or something. But Keenan Allen, likewise, is not a burner, but just remarkably strong hands. I think I tweeted during and I can play the playoffs, play the highlights on Odunze here, but I think I tweeted during the college football playoffs when I was really just starting to get introduced to Rome Odunze. It might have been the Oregon game to the conference championship. Okay, Vikings are coming up for JJ McCarthy. That's not a spoiler to say that's who they're going to take here at 10. But I tweeted this during the college football playoffs. I was like, wow, he kind of has that Justin Jefferson ability to just catch everything, right? And he does. He finds the leverage battle at the catch point, boxes guys out, elevates for the football, super strong arms to fight through contact. Like, that's the most redeeming thing about Odunze, and I would say the same thing about Keenan Allen. He makes some really challenging catches, very similar size to, like 6'3", 210 pounds or so. Both guys good after the catch, but not elite after the catch. So for you to put him next to DJ Moore, who has a little bit more of that juice, there's your dynamic wide receiver duo for Caleb Williams, who we were already hyping up earlier. And you have Keenan Allen in the building. So you have 2 of those guys with inside-out flexibility. Yeah, it's a dream for the Bears. It really is. I think I may have given the perception to some people that I'm lower on Odunze because I just didn't think he was quite on the level of Malik Nabers. But that doesn't mean I didn't like him. I think he was my number 7 or number 8 overall player on my big board. So definitely a fan of this pick for the Bears. And as a Packers fan, I hate it. That's the best compliment I can give to this pick right here. But we're sticking with some NFC North news here. The Vikes are jumping up a spot. Love this for the Jets. Pick up some extra draft capital to just, send a quarterback to the other conference. Doesn't really impact you at all. You move down one spot, you're taking whoever you would anyway. And for the Vikings, you're preventing a team like the Raiders or the Broncos from jumping up there. And I think the Jets didn't want to get behind Denver because both those teams would take Brock Bowers, who I would anticipate going at 11 here. But it's funny when you do this in a mock draft and you move up one spot for a player, you always get comments like, why would you do that? He was going to fall to you anyway. And yet every year we seem to see this where a team just moves up one spot because you're not just trading from the team ahead of you. You're trading against everybody else that could jump you, right? So everyone knows the Vikings are in on McCarthy. Now for them, I got to give the Vikings a ton of credit for not overpaying. And we're going to assume that this is JJ McCarthy here. So I don't want to jump the gun too much, but I got to give the Vikings a ton of credit for not overpaying for a quarterback prospect that I tried to kind of, what's up? I tried to kind of thread the needle in terms of the hype on him, because the hype on McCarthy went like, he's going 3 to the Patriots. He might go 2 to Washington. And I was like, the more I watched him, the more he grew on me. I still have, again, a very similar grade to like Penix and Bo Nix as like a more of a mid-round, first-round type of quarterback prospect. But no one I was like, oh my God, I got to get this guy in the top 10. Now, I do think he's a great fit for the Vikings because I think whatever quarterback they put in there is going to have success in that system with those players, with that coach. I think Sam Darnold might surprise some people this year. But I got to give the Vikings a ton of credit because when they made that trade with the Texans and got the 23rd pick, it's like they're going to give up 2 first-round picks to move up for JJ McCarthy, who a couple months ago we didn't even think was going to go in the top 10. So really good job by them navigating all the news and the mud and, thinking they can get their guy here at 10. And then credit for them threading the needle themselves and being like, okay, let's jump up from 11 to 10. Let's make this happen. You give up, it looked like a couple pick swaps. You're giving up like a 4th round pick basically to do this. So the Vikings continue to impress me in a lot of ways. Okay, with the commercial break here, I'm going to take a quick break and see if I can get the Teddy Cam working for us. We're going to get a word from our sponsors. Today's stream is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and with the draft this weekend, it is time for you to get ready for your best ball drafts over at Underdog Fantasy. If you're watching this stream, I can imagine you've probably done a little bit of draft research, which means you have an edge on the market in terms of knowing who these rookies are, how they're going to contribute to their teams. And a lot of the league winners for best ball on Underdog Fantasy are coming from those drafts in May, in early June, when you have an edge on those rookies before everybody finds out about them. So now is the time to sign up at Underdog Fantasy using promo code TFG. You can get involved in Best Ball Mania where you draft, set it, and forget it. No weekly lineups, none of that. It's all about the draft, baby, as we know. They also, of course, do have those pick'em contests that we all love. MLB, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and, of course, NFL in the fall, where you can string together lineups, anything from 2 to 5 players picking their stats with a chance at massive payout returns. I love Underdog Fantasy. I know you guys will too. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com or scan the code on your screen. Use promo code TFG, and they will match up to $100 on your first deposit. That is plenty of wiggle room to go around and try all. Okay. Goodell's walking up to the podium. Let's see if I can activate the Teddy Cam now. It's like it died or something. I don't know. Oh, Teddy. Here, you want to watch the Vikings pick? Okay. Here's your Teddy Cam. We're going to react to the Vikings together. I don't think Nix would be their guy. I think McCarthy just makes a ton of sense. We'll break it all down when we get the final word here. Yes, shout out to any veterans in the chat. thank you for your service. We are happy to take a moment here with the NFL and give you our thanks. Teddy, what do you think of the Bears picks? He doesn't care. He's a Bengals fan. You like Joe Burrow? Oh.
Joe Burrow?
There it is, JJ McCarthy. Okay. So this is honestly, I'm going to go A+ on this one. I think they navigated this really well. And with the 10th pick, there's not pressure for him to play, but they didn't really give up much to get him either. So if he is a bust, because we'll get into him. He's a polarizing quarterback prospect. If he's a bust, all of a sudden it's like, well, brush it off, try again next year, right? Whereas if they gave up a whole bunch of picks and really leveraged this as this has to be the guy, kind of like the Niners did with Trey Lance. Now, obviously, the Niners' unique situation because they have so much other talent, but you can stomach this so much better at 10. And I really do think he's a good fit for the Vikings. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the second best quarterback out of this draft, just because landing spot matters so much. You got Justin Jefferson, you got Addison, you got Hawkinson, you got Aaron Jones in there right now. You have an incredible coach, O-line. You're going to have defensive support with Brian Flores. Even more defensive support if they can use that 23rd pick on a guy. So, I mean, if you're a Vikings fan, you are just popping champagne, excited that you didn't have to give up that 23rd pick. And just so much credit, again, to the Vikings for how they navigated this situation to not have to overpay. Skull. You want a skull, Teddy? Skull. 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 That was the cutest. That was the cutest thing ever. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about JJ McCarthy, though. I know the Jets pick is in, but I want to play some highlights here. Let's just this was supposed to be so easy. It was supposed to be just a button. Here we go. But he was such an interesting evaluation because Michigan was just boat racing fools. So many games, it's like, well, JJ, you just have to throw the ball 12 times and don't turn the ball over. And in some of his earlier games, he had some mistakes on film that you were like, is this guy really a good decision maker? There was a pair of throws down in the low red zone against Maryland, I think, like week 7. That was a big turnoff for me with his game. But as the season went on, in the biggest moments, he just got better and better and better. A player that I definitely took the wrong approach to his evaluation, where I knew he was going to be a wild card, kind of a boom or bust type of player of sorts. I knew that he didn't play a ton, so I did less games on him. For some reason, that was my thought process on him. So I think I did 5 games on McCarthy, whereas I did 7 to 12 on the other quarterbacks. And in that sample size, I wasn't blown away. But as I got more footage, as I watched more games, the Ohio State game, the Texas game, he really started to pop with some of his plays, especially some of the third down stuff is probably where over time I became more and more impressed with him. One of my least favorite things that a quarterback can do, and this is something that Michael Penix does, that was kind of my biggest concern on him, but he is not going to just, when it's 3rd and 8 and his team needs him to be the one that makes the play, he's not going to just take the check down or throw the drag route, make the easy throw, live to see another play. He really does extend plays. He knows how to get his team a bucket, how to pick up those big third downs, and his situational awareness as a quarterback is really good because on the early downs, he is very, game manager-y, right? Like he'll, which is a good thing on early downs. You want that game manager, but then you also want the guy on third down that is going to create plays. So I'm excited to see what he can do in Minnesota. I saw it. So the Jets have made their pick, and it's a good one. It's an offensive tackle. This was definitely a debate or a discussion, I suppose, with where the Jets were going to go. I guess it wasn't much of a debate because it was like you either go tackle or you go Brock Bowers. Both were great options. Hard to go wrong with a guy like Olumuyiwa Fashanu. I'm excited for him that he went this early. I'm going to give this an A grade. I like this for the Jets. So, lost my train of thought there, but anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. Like we were debating if you could go wide receiver or O-line. You really could have gone in either direction because they needed a second wide receiver. They signed Mike Williams. They needed a left tackle. They signed the tackle from Tyron Smith. What? Why are you laughing?
It's a struggle over there.
It is a struggle. They signed Tyron Smith. So they signed these two veterans that get hurt, and then it's like, pick your poison. Do you take the O-line and gamble that it's it's Smith that gets hurt, or do you take the playmaker and gamble that it's Mike Williams that gets hurt? So at the end of the day, they took a damn good football player here, a really high floor pass protector. Reminds me a lot of Laramie Tunsil, where maybe not the best run blocker, certainly not the best run blocker. He just doesn't have the same athleticism moving forward as he does moving backwards. And as I play some of these clips on Fashanu, it's weird. Sometimes this happens with offensive tackles. Some guys are better moving backwards. Some guys are better moving forwards. So when he's trying to run block and get off the ball and detonate guys in the run game, it really only shows when he can pull and get a few steps and get upfield. But in those initial steps as a run blocker to create that drive, it's just nothing too exciting. And I remember where I was going when I lost my train of thought. I'm excited for him that he got drafted this high because of the lack of run blocking on his tape. There were people that said he's going to fall to 14, 15, 16. When for me, I think he's top 10 on my draft board, maybe 11. But that takes me to the pass protecting, where you're going to be hard pressed to find a offensive tackle prospect with a higher floor as a pass protector than Fashanu, where his hands are immaculate. Just the way he protects that outside shoulder. He's accurate with his hands. He has these shock absorbers for his legs. Like, he anchors really well against power. Another criticism on him is that he lacks some of that core strength. And you see that sometimes he gets hit in his chest and he does get blown back, and you're like, oh my God, he's going to lose on this bull rush. But then all of a sudden it's boom, boom with his legs, shock absorbers like I described, and he's anchoring against the bull rush. So he, unlike a JC Latham, is really quick-footed to step back inside and cut off those inside moves. Really a nice player. And it'll be interesting to see if he's even playing in year one. It really will be, because I don't know how good of a guard he's going to be. It's not always a seamless transition. But Tyron Smith is a huge risk. Aaron Rodgers is a huge risk coming off the Achilles. So that pass protection, it makes sense why you're going to prioritize that early, and you traded down to pick up some extra picks later. So hard to argue with it. Brock Bowers would have been really fun too. Could have broken that down as a really exciting fit. Explosive playmaker. I think Brock Bowers would have increased the ceiling even more for the Jets. But clearly they're more worried about protecting the floor on this team than they are the ceiling, which is not a bad call because their signings in free agency were risky ones with injury-prone players. So it's a nice balance with the team-building philosophy. Let's catch up on Super Chats from you guys. from a few minutes back. So also, thank you to all of the mods in the chat. We appreciate you for staying on top of people. And please, everybody, no spoilers. We hate spoilers on this channel. And you're gonna make TFG a little cranky if you're spoiling things in the chat. So please don't be doing that. But we got to go back to some super chats here from Mason, a very generous super chat. Thank you, Mason. Do I think Higgins gets traded? I don't think Higgins gets traded. I think they've worked things out. I think and this is totally, no sources or anything, but I think there was a communication there that, like, T, we love you. We know how good you can be. Reality is you're not coming off the best year. He wasn't as good as the old T Higgins last year. So they want to see him play at that level if they're going to pay him 25, 26 mil a year. He's getting good money on the franchise tag. He knows he's in an opportunity to have a big year, and whether he's getting paid, he might have an even more monster season and get more money elsewhere. So I think they worked things out. I think from the Bengals' perspective, they're like, we are so close. And trading away a T Higgins is just a step backwards that they don't want to take, even if it's not the smart thing for their organization. I think they're just going to roll with it this year. And if he has a big year, I wouldn't be surprised if they pay him. So I don't think T gets traded. He even said at his wide receiver camp, that he's expecting to play for the Bengals next year. But as the Broncos pick comes in here, I do think Brandon Ayuk could be someone that's traded that we got to keep an eye on here. But I think the Niners could have a very, similar philosophy there as what we just broke down for the Bengals.
Selected. Sorry, I'm spoiling over here.
Yeah. So this is going to be the first. I don't want to overdo it with the bell. I don't really like ringing the bell, but it's just kind of a nice way to be like, we've been on this for a while, so we love the bell. I mean, I think my very first mock draft back in, early January, I broke this down. Bo Nix to the Broncos, why it's such a good fit. I've continuously, I'm not going to go A+. Did you plug it in? I'm going to go B+. So while we're ringing the bell because I figured this is what they would do. And I think it's the best thing they could have done in their situation. So, I mean, if you've been watching my content, you've been hearing me break down Bo Nix as a Bronco for 4 months now. Is it good? I'm going to play some Bo Nix for us. It's like a mixtape. But definitely, to reiterate some of those points, makes sense for Sean Payton, who moved on from Russell Wilson because he got tired of scheming up the right plays, open slants, open crossers, you name it, specifically over the middle of the field, and Russell Wilson just not seeing it, not throwing it, not anticipating that part of the field. It's always been the knock on Russell Wilson. And I think that's inevitably what drove Sean Payton up the frickin' wall. Bo Nix is the prospect in this draft that I would argue is the most consistent at maximizing on well-schemed up offense. And that's always going to trigger the system quarterback buzzword there. And there's a little bit of that with Bo Nix, but he has... I want to say this. There's 2 quarterbacks in the league right now that have kind of expanded my thought process on what a first read quarterback is in the National Football League. That is obviously a very big buzzword that has a negative connotation if you say a quarterback's a first read quarterback. And it's not necessarily that he's going to just stare down. Like, when I say that, I'm not saying he's just going to stare down his first read. It can mean reading a half side of the field or even getting to that number 2. But first read in the sense of like playing on time. Because I think there's first read quarterbacks like a Justin Fields that like He's literally just staring at one receiver. I'm more talking about more like first progression read quarterback. There's a difference there. Nix can go 1, 2, 3 really quickly and make the most of that situation, but he's not necessarily gonna get all the way to that backside dig or really buy time in the pocket. He's like, okay, I'm gonna try to do what the coach has put on the field for me, but there's a clock for Bo Nix where if it's not there, he's gonna go back to his old days at Auburn, where he's gonna improvise, he's gonna scramble, he's gonna make stuff happen. I'm gonna wrap this point up because the Raiders pick's coming in, but the two quarterbacks that reminds me so much of that have received a ton of praise lately, Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, do the exact same thing that have been top 15 quarterbacks in the league. So I think Bo Nix can be something like that for Denver to get that player with the 12th pick when you don't have a second round pick. I think is a very firm, good, solid pick. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, they stole Bo Nix at 12. But I probably would have done the same thing. So,
is this the first tight end off the board?
First tight end off the board, Brock Bowers to the Raiders. So definitely a surprise here. They have Michael Mayer, who they took in like basically the first round last year. But I like this. I'll go A- for the Raiders because I'm worried about the O-line. It's like an A- with a TBD on like A- TBD, like day 2 TBD, because the O-line is a major concern for me. But this is because there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, oh, rip Mayer from last year from Notre Dame. That's not the case. Brock Bowers is so much more than just, oh, they just replaced Michael Mayer. And this is beyond like what we talked about with Buffalo last year, for example, with like Knox and Kincaid, where they still were kind of fighting for reps. This is a true starter in this offense without putting Mayer on the bench. You will have your 12 personnel, which the Raiders have made it abundantly clear. They want to run the ball. They want to be a physical team. They want to make things easier on these quarterbacks. Brock Bowers is an unbelievable rack threat. I think he is immediately, the second he just got drafted, he is now up there with Deebo Samuel, with DJ Moore, with, I guess, Christian McCaffrey, like all these elite run after catch weapons in the NFL. That is the defining trait on Brock Bowers. So you're making things easier on the quarterback there, but like I was saying, you're going to be in 12 personnel potentially more than anybody in the league because Mayer is a tight end. But he's your starting slot receiver. He's your starting fullback if you want to go I formation. He's everything that you want to use him for. You can line him up outside. You can put him at running back if you want. He is that good. So it's really hard to argue with, in my opinion, getting a top 5 overall football player in the draft. But offensive line is going to matter too if you want to run the ball. It's going to matter if you want to throw the ball. So what does that mean for the Raiders offensive line, where their right tackle right now is Thayer Mumford? Their right guard right now is, I mean, I like Dylan Parham, but been far from a superstar. They signed Cody Whitehair, got Andre James, but specifically that right tackle spot. What is that going to mean on day 2 of the draft? But I am happy for Gardner Minshew. That was a big pick for Gardner Minshew to basically secure, they could have taken a Penix, they could have taken a Bo Nix and try to replace Gardner Minshew. I'm happy for Gardner that he's getting that starting opportunity because I think he earned it last year with how he played for the Colts.
Got a couple super chats.
Yeah, let's catch up on some super chats. Good reminder. You guys are so amazing with the super chats. Just thank you again. But where did we leave off from? We left off with Mason. But from Cy, what does JD do that justifies the pick over May? scrambling, like designed run ability. I will, if you want a positive thing, and I probably should include some positive things on the Jayden Daniels pick, because he's not a bad football player, right? It's just Drake Maye, I think, is such a better prospect. But Cliff Kingsbury is their offensive coordinator. One thing Cliff actually did that impressed me in Arizona, there wasn't a lot of it, but one thing he did that impressed me was how creative he was with Kyler Murray in some of the design run game stuff. So if they really want to make that a big part of their offense, you know, that would be where he has the nod over a Drake Maye. The question is that smart for a 200-pound quarterback that doesn't slide? Can he really hold up getting 150 carries a year? Is that smart with your highly invested quarterback? You know, Kyler Murray slides. Kyler Murray doesn't look to run through guys and that kind of stuff. When Kyler Murray's about to get hit, former baseball player, he's on the ground like that. That's not Jayden Daniels. He is like a car crash waiting to happen. So it's a worry. You have got to make sure he's sliding. But from game effect, Odunze or Bowers to the, well, that was a while ago. Wanting Odunze or Bowers to the Jets, but hey, I think Fashanu for the Jets is a really smart pick. From Brayton, as a Colts fan, the Titans pick is an A+. Well done. Woof. I do feel bad for Titans fans. They've had a rough run from like underrated sleeper team like 3 years ago to just like really struggling. So I really hope that I'm wrong on JC Latham, because I'm a Levis guy. I know some Titans fans, and I definitely want the best for them. It's just a pick that I'm worried about. We got one from Steve. My son is a Jets fan who said that he would pass on Bowers even if he is as good as Kelsey for a backup tackle in case Smith gets injured. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that thinking. I think now that the pick has happened for the Jets, it's very understandable to be like, okay, free agency was aggressive. They went and got the injury-prone guys, the high-ceiling types, but in the draft, take the high-floor, pass-protecting left tackle. And Morgan Moses, by the way, the right tackle they acquired, he's also a guy that might be getting banged up. So at some point in the season, you're going to be really happy that you have Fashanu, but there might be some weeks early in the year if he's a backup to start and Brock Bowers is killing it for the Raiders, there might be some weeks where you're like, ooh, that would have been really fun for the Jets. But what's up? You have a comment.
Just let everybody know that we are getting super chats. If we missed yours, just give us a little flag or send it to your Instagram and I'll keep tabs on it.
Okay.
It sounds like we've missed people.
Okay. We're trying to catch up. So yeah, I don't know if I'm assuming they heard that through the mic, but
I can keep tabs on your PM you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'll get them read.
Yep. But trying to catch up. Yeah, you can message my DMs on Instagram, which is I don't know, Marcus Whitman. I haven't been on Instagram in like 3 years. Why you would think I remember my?
That's why it's easiest to PM you there.
Yeah.
There's nothing else there.
Yeah. Okay. So Rizzy is a Falcons fan, not happy with the pick, but my condolences, Rizzy. I get it. You're excited for this year. It's gonna take more. I can't still process the Penix pick. Like, there's just a lot to break down with the Penix pick. When I do my like overnight reactions to let all the thoughts simmer down, I'm excited to really think about the Penix pick, but there's just too much going on right now. If we missed your super chat, please DM on Instagram. Thank you. So we got Nalter in the super chat. What's up, Nalter?
Woo-hoo,
JJ McCarthy for
Whitman.
life. Dave Whitman, Pops. What's up? All right, let's try to get the picks coming in. We're really going to focus on these super chats after this pick for the Saints. I think the Saints took a long time there because they were expecting to get maybe Fashanu there, and they go with Fuaga, the tackle out of Oregon State. a lot less to analyze here for the Saints. It was highly anticipated that they were going to go. I will give this I'm going to go with a B+ grade on this one. There's some comments I have on it that's not like, oh my God, yes, absolutely. But we definitely thought they would be going tackle. Not a surprise there. B+. So, the selection's not some surprise, but and I like Fuaga. I like Fuaga a lot. I have a true first round grade on him. I just like Fautanu more. That's really the only thing. And I like Fautanu more for them. But this is maybe B+ is too harsh. I don't know. It's a really good pick for the Saints. What's going on? Okay. Should we just let's just close publish. Reopen. You don't think so? Okay. Sorry guys, we're working on it. I'm just gonna steal it. Okay. So you need that one. I see what's going on. I got it. Now, there you go. All right, we got it. Yeah, just very solid pick for the Saints, man. Ramczyk is obviously dealing with the right tackle. Ryan Ramczyk for the Saints is dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Definitely not a good sign that they took the right tackle instead of the left tackle. That was another thought I had. I guess good pick, man. I unfortunately don't have too many more thoughts on it other than I guess I like Fautanu better. I have some minor pass protection questions on Fuaga as a tackle, but it's not like it was a reach or anything. So let's go to these super chats. From Thomas, Murphy or Newton to Green Bay. My boy Kenny needs some help. Thomas, I've seen a lot of people saying interior D-line for Green Bay, and as a Packers fan, I really don't understand it. I think Devontae Wyatt looked fantastic. You had the Bowling Green kid. Maybe Chat can help us out on that one, but he really stepped up. You have Leighton Vander Esch who can step inside. You got Preston Smith. You got Rashawn Gary. They have Slayton who can play the nose. I just think people forget about Devonta Wyatt, who's year 3, a first-round pick the other year. So, not that I'm ever against drafting interior D-line in the first round, because that's kind of, for the most part, when you need to draft those guys to hit on interior D-line. But they definitely have other needs that are way more prominent than interior D-line. As a Packers fan, listening to other shows, when they take an interior D-lineman, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's fine. But I definitely would prefer like Cooper DeJean or interior O-line. Then we got super chat from Nick. Thank you, Nick Christensen. Alexander Morales wanted Troy Fautanu to the Saints, please. So Alexander's a little bit disappointed, but look, Fuaga's a very good player. He's an absolute mauler, going to be a fan favorite. So I do think Fautanu is such a better pass protector. And if you had any hope of Ryan Ramczyk getting back healthy, I think that just hurts a little bit, knowing, crap, they took the right tackle over the left tackle. Like, so is Ryan Ramczyk just done now? That's tough. From Ben, I like Penix, but that pick for the Falcons was a certified F. If you're that concerned, don't sign Kirk. Sign a veteran backup like Flacco. Signing Kirk to that contract is a win now move. I generally, again, I have so much to process with this, because you think back to it is very reminiscent of when the Packers took Jordan Love, but Jordan Love was a much better prospect than Michael Penix. So I'm excited to really decompress after the draft, have an old fashioned, and think about Michael Penix.
Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, here is an old fashioned. Wow.
It's just some whiskey.
Just some. That's. Can you pour some?
It's been iced down. It's been sitting there.
It's been okay.
I can pour whatever you want in it, but I do have a super chat for you to answer really quick.
Okay.
From Wade.
Okay.
He said, "Hoosier fan here. Do you have any Indiana linebacker? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Do you have Indiana linebacker Aaron Casey getting drafted and where?"
So I haven't gotten to Casey yet. I mentioned at the very top of the show some of the day two. Well, I've watched all the day two guys, but over the next 2 mornings, I'm still going to be writing some evals, using every little bit of time before these guys come off the board. Casey is on my short list. I've heard a lot of people bring him up. I have a feeling I will probably end up with a day 3 grade on him. But thank you for the question. Go Hoosiers. Speaking of which, the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts are on the clock. Let's do one more. We got a lot of super chats to catch up on from random commenter with the super chat. I feel like the Jets should have gone with Brock. He would have brought both insane offense and blocking to the team. Also helps to get a Super Bowl example, Kelsey and Kittle. I would have gone Bowers, but I certainly cannot argue with the floor pick of a Fautanu or of a Fashanu. The trying to keep all of the 3 Fs with these tackles, Fashanu, Fautanu, and Fuaga, trying to keep those guys straight throughout this draft process has been a ride, I'll tell you that. What? No, it's okay. I'll have some of it in a minute. I'm just kind of cooking right now, as they say. Okay, Rodgers coming out. Rodgers coming out for the Colts. My pick here would be Brian Thomas Jr. That would be a ring the bell moment. That's been a player I've been kind of preaching for them for a while. Let's see what they do.
Also, the chat likes the bell.
Okay, chat likes the bell. Noted. Oh, Laiatu Latu. Okay. Well, that's a bell. It's if you like the bell, that's a small bell. It's actually impressive that I can only get 1 ring on a cowbell. I kind of took a leap of faith a couple months ago. I'm gonna give this an A+. I really like this for the Colts. So I took a little bit of a leap of faith with my Edge video 2 months ago-ish. Consensus was Dallas Turner, Edge 1. Got through my tape, and I was like, the Latu guy is actually a lot better than Dallas Turner. And then in my next mock draft after that, I had Dallas Turner falling to like the 19th pick, the 20th pick, and people are like, you're an idiot. He's not going to fall that far. I'm like, well, if Latu goes first, he certainly could. So Latu's fascinating because he was told he had to medically retire 2 years ago. But he came back and hasn't missed a game since. So it's like you either don't draft him until like the second round, or if he's cleared, he's the best edge rusher in this class. He should be the first off the board. He's a top 15 pick. It's hard to say the most technically refined pass rusher I've ever evaluated, but I don't know who else I would put in that ring. I see a little bit of TJ Watt in his game with the foot speed and the quickness and the speed to counter was a term that I heard our guy Trevor Sikkema use on a podcast that I got to give him credit for that term because it's so accurate for Latu, where even when one move doesn't work, his speed to his counter move, the processing of what's going on and the on-the-fly reaction time to know what to go to next so that he can have those reactionary wins, it's insane. I'll play some Latu cut up here while we break this down. But he's really freaking good, man. I think you can make a strong case that Latu's the best defensive player in this draft. And was he the first defensive player drafted at 15? I think so. Wow, that's got to be a record. Almost halfway through the first round, and it's been all offense. But for Latu to be the first defensive player drafted, I think is a surprise for a lot of people, but maybe not a surprise for viewers of this channel. Like, And as this relates to the Colts, man, like, he's just a supercharged version of what they were hoping to get in Kwity Paye. They kind of win in similar ways, but Latu's just so much more efficient. And he has historic production at over the last 2 years per PFF. He led all of college football back-to-back years in pass rush win rate, which is just, are you beating the guy in front of you? Back-to-back years, he didn't just lead, he was like 10%. So he was in like the mid 40s. The next guy down's in like the mid 30s over the last 2 years. So he's just unbelievable. Defends the run well too, and just fits what they want to do. So we're going to go A+ here for the Colts. You're going to ask a question?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna ask a question. So, as someone who doesn't know anything about football whatsoever,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I know some. So we're at pick 16. We're halfway through the first round. You've given mostly A's and A+. You've only really been surprised at one pick so far, which I think everyone was probably a little bit surprised with Penix.
And Latham was the other
And
one.
Latham. And then there's only been one trade up, the Vikings and the Jets. So
Yeah.
this feels very different than the previous years where there was a lot of kind of trading up in the first round and a lot more drama. Do you think that the players are just better quality this year, or do you think the teams just had a better plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, we have been talking about how this is a much better draft than, I mean, it stacks up over the last 5 years. It's arguably the best draft at the top. So I do think that makes sense why teams are just sticking and picking. Even the Jets, it's like they didn't really trade down. They moved down like one. So most of these teams are like, we like who we're getting. We like where we're picking. Let's just take the really good players with the high picks in this draft. So I think that last year too was a particularly bad year. So it's something to think about, I think, for like future drafts. Like if it's a bad draft, you might see more trades. If it's a good draft, you might see teams sticking and picking a little more. So it's a great question. A little game theory. Want to keep getting through these super chat questions as well. From Brandon, just shouting out the Chargers O-line. Yeah, Slater, Zion Johnson, Joe Alt. You got some absolute pieces up there for that O-line. Harbaugh's going to be happy. From Gabe, congrats on 100K. Appreciate it, Gabe. We're excited around here. Also, we have the same birthday. May 9th, babies. Okay, Gabe. You, me, and Brett Coleman. May 9th. And my grandpa. Bappa, who I got his wedding ring right here. Random, we got your super chat. We caught up on you. Thank you for popping back in. From Craig, this draft is set up well for the Seahawks. I'm curious.
Tell me more.
Yeah, tell me more. I'm curious, like, who you were thinking. The Seahawks are such a hard team when I do my mock drafts because I really think their roster is pretty complete, with the exception of interior offensive line. Definitely wouldn't be surprised, though, if they take Troy Fautanu, who played with their new offensive coordinator in Washington. So we'll see what they do here at 16. From Dr. KOZ, thank you for the kind super chat. Want Green Bay to trade up and grab Byron Murphy. Well, we just went on the spiel about, they don't really need interior D-line. If it's Byron Murphy, I'm all on board. I think Byron Murphy at this point in the draft is an absolute bargain. Top 10 player in this draft, in my opinion. I'm a huge Byron Murphy guy. So if he ends up in Green Bay, I will be a happy man. And that definitely would be on brand for them to go defense. Spence came in with a super chat. Thank you, Spence. Cinch with the super chat. Thank you. Too fast for yo. There is actually only going to be 5 or 6 defensive players in the first round. Lions fan, but rumors of trading up or down, probably not staying. Okay, I'll take your word for it. The concept of draft rumors at this point for me is, I mean, I can't follow the Twitter to know what you're seeing, what the sources are, all that. Draft rumors are very fascinating to me because I feel like 90% of them end up just blowing off into the wind. It's like the what's the movie? The Leonardo movie. Oh yeah, you're not gonna know that. Oh my gosh, the Wolf of Wall Street movie. It's a fugazi. It's pixie dust. Doesn't matter. That's like how I feel about most draft rumors. But Detroit's definitely going to be an interesting pick at 29 after what they did last year. Kind of navigating the draft, staying away from consensus. Please do a quick Hayden Hatton wide receiver eval. I don't know that we're going to have time to do that, Matt. I'm sorry. I don't know who Hayden Hatton is. I did 41 wide receivers and didn't get to Hatton, so I apologize on that. Man is impressed with the Vikes. Agreed. Really impressed by how they navigated the situation. The Vikes are they are very in control as an organization. They do things the right way there. They were voted the number one team to be a part of by the coaches poll in the players union for a reason. Seattle's pick is in, but they're doing some kind of a Air Force tribute. Shout out to any members of the Air Force or other service members joining us live here. Especially if you're like deployed out. I don't know if you have time to watch a TFG draft stream if you're out deployed, but if you're in here, thank you for joining us and for your service. We have nothing but respect for the military. Absolutely. So it looks like it might be another minute here.
So let me give you a little for the lovely person who was asking about Hayden Hatton.
Okay.
He's a wide receiver from Idaho, and the question is, will he be drafted? So maybe we can look a little bit more into that and give you a better projection on maybe day 2 or 3.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can also refer to Dane Brugler's beautiful draft guide. Pick is in. Byron Murphy out of Texas. So for me, this is, again, like just sticking, picking, taking best player available. It's another A plus. Like I freaking love Byron Murphy. I think he's unbelievably good. We'll show you some clips once the graphics updated here, but just it's tough to hit on interior defensive linemen nowadays. There's just not any given year, even a Byron Murphy in any given draft class. He's a two-way defensive tackle in the sense that he is a brilliant run defender. That's my big difference between Murphy and Newton. I think Newton's more of a pass rushing guy. Murphy, I think, will be able to do both extremely well. Are we good? But as a pass rusher, dude, he's insanely athletic. Just a monster season last year. Kind of came out of nowhere. Was one of these names that showed up January-ish for me. I didn't really know who Tavondre Sweat was. And I saw, okay, defensive tackle out of Texas. Like, okay, like Big 12 football. Like, am I really going to like this guy? Broke out in the last year. Well, year 3 player, but broke out recently. And I got to his tape, and I'm like, yep, sign me up for Byron Murphy, top 10 player in this draft. For Seattle to get him at 16, obviously, that's a value at a position that is just, it's really hard to argue. Whatever your interior D-line looks like, it's hard to argue with anybody taking a player like this because like I keep saying, you don't see these guys available to you very often. So I love that Seattle pulled the trigger. They now have 3 guys on the interior that are going to kick ass, take names with Jones and Leonard Williams. But Murphy's, just to say a little bit more about him, not only is he super athletic, but his core strength at 300 pounds that he plays at, he just doesn't go anywhere. Guys can't move him. He plays low to the earth because he's like these, Grady Jarrett, Mike Daniels, Aaron Donald even has this trait. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald, but when you're built low to the earth and you're 6 foot, 6'1", and you can have the play strength that you have, nobody's going to win that leverage battle on you. So he's just always underneath guys, and you pair all these things together. The Vikings just traded up, by the way. They're about to make a pick. But Byron Murphy's rip move with all of those things put together, when he's just going to that rip, dipping and ripping, it's borderline unblockable. So I'm very happy for the Seahawks. It's a hell of a player to put on that defense. Mike McDonald kind of gets his Justin Madubuike here. And then, wow, Minnesota is just finessing this draft.
Another skull, to be honest, don't you?
Yeah, if I had Teddy in my lap.
I just mean in general. I think this was a really good pick for them.
Oh my gosh, yes.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, Dallas Turner with Flores. Are you kidding me? Like, yeah, we'll go A. I'll go A. I think in this system, I know it's weird to go straight to like a guy that can drop into coverage, but for Brian Flores, like, that's his game. He likes to just put a bunch of dudes on the line of scrimmage. You don't know who's dropping. Dallas Turner, not only can he drop into a curl flat and protect the flat, or keep an eye on a tight end leaking out, like, that's one thing. But Dallas Turner in this defense could legit just like drop into the middle of the field and run up the seam with a slot wide receiver. Like, and that's not the best thing about Dallas Turner, but that's the first place my mind went in this defense. But great opportunity for him to come in and learn behind really a pair of technicians in Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, where Dallas Turner does need to improve his pass rushing tool belt. He has great get off. He tries hard. He uses his length really well. I love that he has he has disproportionately long arms relative to his height. It's exactly what we were just talking about with Byron Murphy. So Dallas Turner's 6'3", which is just like average height, but he has 34.5-inch arms. So he really stays low, gets his hands inside, wins that leverage. It's just a matter of, he can get into that position, no doubt, but can he consistently stem moves together and take advantage of that? So it's a great pick. He's on my big board. He's 14th overall on my big board. So to get him at 17th is a great pick for Minnesota, and it's a great situation. Great situation for him. Bengals are up. Okay, we gotta get your Bengals jersey on, Ted. Come here, bud.
He's hoping for Joe Burrow or Andy Dalton. His favorite players.
Very curious to see where the Bengals go here, by the way, with all those tackles off the board. Fautanu is still there.
Shout out to Brandon.
Brandon, woo-woo, what's up? Okay, I'm going to keep catching up on Super Chats. Don't want to fall behind here. So, who do you like Detroit trading up for more, Terrion Arnold or Jared Verse? I would go probably Jared Verse there. I just lean the pass rusher over the corner. Both would be really good fits for them, though, I will say. Both would be slam dunk trade ups, I think. From Ben, responding to I was comparing Michael Penix to Jordan Love, not only was Jordan Love a better prospect than Michael Penix, but yeah, the Packers spent the 24th pick on Jordan Love, not the 8th pick. So, absolutely, there's a lot to process with that Falcons pick, man. You also say as a Texans fan, love the Latham pick for the Titans. Yeah, gosh. It's too early, man. Too early. I trade down. No one wanted to come up, really? From Colton, will the Bears go all in on defense on day 2? I think they still could go with a center in the 3rd round. There's a sweet spot of offensive centers. Guys, I mean, there's like 5 of them that I like. We'll see how early Zach Frazier ends up going, but he's an option. I mean, you got Cedric Van Pran, Bo Limmer, Hunter Nauerzad, Tanner Bornolini. Bunch of dudes like 3rd, 4th round are like a sweet spot for centers. So I definitely think 3rd round center for the Bears. They don't have a 2nd round pick because they gave it for Montez Sweat, but their defense is very solid. They do have needs at edge too and interior D line, but I don't think they're locked in. They're going to want to make sure Caleb has everything he needs. What are my thoughts on Dylan Laub out of New Hampshire? I definitely think he's draftable. Day 3 guy. I see him as a receiving back. Very talented, like one of the most skilled receiving backs you'll find. Great route runner, great hands, good athleticism. I just don't know how much of a rushing profile he's going to have there. Echo, my man. So generous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Echo.
$100 from Echo. That's incredible, my man. I can't thank you enough. This is in honor of the Colts getting my number 1 edge. And then hopefully you get Worthy or Legette in round 2. Dude, that's having your cake and eating too. If you get Worthy or Legette, that's the same reasoning for why I like Brian Thomas for them. Worthy and Legette could definitely do that in round 2. So here's hoping for your sake, Echo, after that generous donation. Thank you so much.
Jordan says his wife sent him on errands mid-draft. Can he get a recap grade for Broncos to Seahawks? A little bit.
Well, recap grade for the Broncos was like a solid B-ish, B plus-ish. I've been on Bo Nix to them for a while. I think it's a very solid process. And then for the Seahawks, I mean, we just broke that down. I love Byron Murphy. D tackle's hard to hit on. A super talented player, a value at 16. So I gave that like an A+. I think we got 4 more super chats, and we'll be all caught up. We got a commercial break for the draft.
Also,
so
I totally get his wife sending him on errands during the draft stream because you hold me hostage during the draft stream doing your errands.
You are doing my errands right now. You can relate. Where does Spencer Rattler go with how fast QBs are going? Well, you could say, yeah, QBs are flying off the board. Spencer Rattler is going to get pushed up. You could also argue, dang, all the teams that needed quarterbacks have now taken their quarterbacks, so it could be longer. I don't know. I think Rattler's a solid, like, 3rd round prospect. 2nd just seems rich for him. I could see the Raiders taking him, like, 3rd round, personally. I think the Raiders have to try and find that right tackle. But from Cyrudin, thank you for the super chat. Before the Jags pick, before the Jacksonville pick, thanking you before the Jacksonville pick for giving me the NFL analysis that I do not have time for most of the time. You stuck with me last year during my master's, and you still in my ear during the PhD. Congratulations, my friend. Happy to help you through the studies. With entertainment, you're not getting any, whatever your PhD is in, you're not getting that information from me. I can tell you that much. You're much smarter than me, my friend. But from Flambeau, the fallout from the Penix pick is funny to watch when it isn't happening to your team. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of Falcons fans that are not happy about that pick. I understand why that's where all of the commentary is going, because that was certainly unexpected. I will continue to give Thomas Dimitroff credit. He kind of called that in our mock draft. Okay, Teddy. Go Bengals. What are we getting? New pass catcher for Joe Burrow, a little protection.
Andy Dalton.
He doesn't like Andy Dalton. He likes Joe Burrow. All right, Teddy, here we go. Amarius Mims. Woo! That's my guy, Teddy. I love Amarius Mims. We're big fans of Amarius Mims.
He says, don't you dare ring that bell.
Amarius Mims could eat Teddy in a half a bite. He's 6'7", 345 pounds. And my grade is an A for the Bengals. I'm a huge Amarius Mims fan. He was my tackle 3 in this draft, which was higher than a lot of people. Happy to see him go in the top 20. I mean, the Bengals, if it wasn't clear when they signed Trent Brown, they have a type at tackle. They want the biggest human beings protecting Joe Burrow as possible. And it makes a lot of sense. I've broken this down before, but I'll say it again. When you have a quarterback that is so with his technique being so repeatable with his footwork, you know where his landmarks are, and you know he's going to consistently step up in the pocket. It sounds simple, but a lot of these young quarterbacks aren't necessarily... Are we playing highlights on... No. Okay, sorry. But a lot of these young quarterbacks are going to drift back. They're going to bail out of the pocket. They're not going to utilize that space. But when you have these big, giant tackles, this was the thing with Tom Brady for years, was Tom Brady was like, just don't get pushed into the pocket. Don't lose space. If you get beat to the corner, I will sense that as the quarterback and step up and protect that edge. That's why with Joe Burrow, they're like Orlando Brown, Trent Brown, Amarius Mims. Give us these massive guys that are just, you are not going to bull rush these players. They are too big. Their arms are too long. They anchor and have too much power to do that. That's just a starting point for why Amarius Mims is a good fit here. It's not an immediate need. I don't think he's going to play guard in the meantime. I think he will be a backup for them at first, but this is what the Bengals do. We've been joking about it throughout a lot of these mock drafts, is like, Bengals just don't really draft for need. They are consistently looking down the road. Where are the needs going to be? How can we become a sustainable long-term approach here? And I think it's really smart the way they do that. But Trent Brown is not their long-term answer at right tackle. He's a veteran, and he has injury issues. You can expect he's going to miss some time. So Mims will probably play some time this year, but it's a great opportunity for him to develop. Great scheme fit. Clearly fits their type, but that's before we even talk about how freaking athletic he is. He is just the physical tools, I would argue he is a generational mold of a tackle. You don't find guys that are 6'7" with 36-inch arms. I mean, to put that in perspective, there is one player out of the 28 tackles and the 30 interior offensive linemen. One other player in this draft has over 36-inch arms. Sorry, 2. Patrick Paul. That's a reason he's getting, early top 50 hype. And then Kieran Amagaji out of Yale. That is elite level arm length. But guys his size with the type of play strength and the anchor that he has shouldn't be able to fly off the ball and destroy dudes in the run game. He's a remarkable athlete. He ran a 5.13 40. So he's moving out there. A 5.07 40, a 9'3" broad jump. Like, he is a true built in a lab specimen. Now, why is he there at 18? He was sitting behind other NFL prospects for the first year and a half at Georgia. By the end of his second year, they eventually were like, well, we have a guy that the Rams actually, who was picked. This will be a good transition. But the Rams took a guy in the 5th round out of Georgia last year. I always forget his name. But, 5th round pick goes to the NFL. That's who, and first round pick, Jamarco Jones, was on that Georgia offensive line. By the end of his sophomore season, Amarius Mims, they were like, yeah, we got to play him. Like, I'm sorry to what's his name that got drafted by the Rams, but they were like, we're going to start rotating you in because you're too good. And then this year, He's out there starting, and his tape was very, very good. It's just he then got injured and missed half the season. So he's only played like 700 snaps. He hasn't even gotten through like a full season, but I don't think he's an injury-prone player, and you can very easily excuse and answer away why he wasn't getting those reps because he was at freaking Georgia. So this was like a 5-star recruit. I believe in the player. To wrap this up, like there is a world where Amarius Mims is a Tristan Wirfs, is a Lane Johnson, these super freaks at right tackle that are like elite players at the position. Wouldn't be stunned if the Bengals just took that here at 18. So I'm a huge Amarius Mims fan. Makes a ton of sense in Cincinnati. Now we got the Rams up. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break and give us a second to hear from our sponsors. In 5, 4, I just got to find the thing. Sorry. Oh, the Rams pick's coming in. All right, we'll stay put.
In the meantime, Teddy would like you to demonstrate how long his arm width is compared to Teddy's.
Well, to be fair to Teddy, he does have long arms relative to his size. It's hard to tell with the jerseys, but Teddy's arm length is pretty good. But
could Teddy compete?
Teddy could definitely run underneath Amarius Mims. I don't know how Amarius Mims would block Teddy. The question is, could Teddy get an NFL quarterback on the ground as a pass rusher? That would be, or if he would just keep running away from everybody, that would probably be how that plays out.
All right, Jared Verse. Sorry.
Okay, Jared Verse to the Rams. I generally think teams are getting better at drafting over the years. We've seen a couple surprise picks, but this just makes so much sense. Excellent value. I think Jared Verse was, we'll go A for this one. Jared Verse was actually in this class my 26th player, but in last year's class, basically had the same grade as like Tyree Wilson, who went like 6th overall. So that's where we're at with this draft class. The Rams have not made a first-round pick since Jared Goff was their first overall pick in 2016. So it makes a ton of sense that they finally get a first-round pick, and use it on a premium position like edge. In fact, they wanted to take this pick and turn it into Brian Burns years ago when they were calling the Panthers. So everything adds up for this pick. They also lost Aaron Donald to retirement, obviously. For years, while they've been trading away first-round picks, they've been able to count on Aaron Donald being a one-man wrecking crew, the best. Literally, you could make a case Aaron Donald is the best football player ever. 7 straight years of being the best player in the NFL, really. When you compare him to his peers, he is every bit one of the 3 best players of all time. That player's going to elevate your pass rush. He's gone. So it makes a ton of sense that they would look at Jared Verse, say, okay, we need another guy in here. They took Byron Young in the 3rd round, who had a good season, but I think you could expect Byron Young's production to dip off a little bit when you don't have Aaron Donald drawing all that attention and flushing quarterbacks out of the pocket. So everything adds up for this pick. Makes a ton of sense. Love it for the Rams. And yes, we're going to take a quick break now with the commercial and return to you in a minute. Okay. I know I said I was taking a break. I still got to find the... Today's draft stream is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. As a diehard NFL fan, I get it. The summer months can get a little bit long with our professional sports as we wait for our football to come back. But thanks to Underdog Fantasy Pick'em contests, they can help you spice up your interest in MLB, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs with their Pick'em contests, where you can string together stats on anywhere from 2 to 5 players, and you can cross sports too. You can go Shohei Ohtani home runs mixed with Anthony Edwards points, you name it, all the way up to 5 players with the chance from small entries to win massive payouts. My wife and I are huge Twins fans. We have season tickets, and Underdog Fantasy keeps me glued to the edge of my seat, waiting to see if our starting pitcher is gonna, get his 30-something fantasy points, or if we're gonna get that 7th inning home run I'm waiting on. Even when your lineup doesn't hit, it can feel like you're winning because it just ramps up your interest in every single game. I love Underdog Fantasy. I know you guys will too. And of course, they have NFL when it picks back up, including their best ball tournaments as well. And most of all, if you sign up right now using promo code TFG, they will match up to $100 on your first deposit. That's plenty to participate in all your other sports over the summer. And then you got a stash waiting for you for football in the fall. So that's promo code TFG at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you to Underdog for sponsoring today's stream. And let's get back to the draft. All right. We're back. We got a super chat from our lovely assistant.
Okay, this is from Zachary.
Okay.
He says, great draft stream so far. Did you ever get back to the who will play the Spider-Man position in the Seahawks super chat?
Oh, no, I didn't circle back to that. That's a great reminder. The Spider-Man position. I love that we're calling it that because my Kyle Hamilton comp was Spider-Man. But it really does work. But right now, I think that guy is Rayshon Jenkins, who has similar length profile-ish to Kyle Hamilton. He's not Kyle Hamilton. He doesn't have the instincts that Kyle Hamilton has. So that is where I'm curious if they like a guy in this draft that could do that. I don't fully know at this point. I don't know. The other thing is
Can you tell me what that means? I'm not familiar with that.
Sure. The other thing is they might just be adaptable and not have that in their defense. It might have been a situation where they're like, well, we have Kyle Hamilton, this unique chess piece. Let's build a defense where he can play. And what it is like a slot cornerback where you're half linebacker, half corner, half safety. You're blitzing. He's listed as a safety, but he's not playing 20 yards deep like a lot of safeties. It's the Spider-Man comparison is I compared him to Spider-Man because he's got these go-go gadget arms and these crazy reflexes, and anytime you try to put the ball in his area, he's all over it. So it very much could be a situation with Mike Macdonald where he's a brilliant defensive coach. He might look at his roster and be like, no, we don't have a Kyle Hamilton. We'll just not do those types of systems. So we'll see kind of where their draft goes and all that. Okay, from Shadow Gamer. I wonder if the Falcons took Penix because the front office believes they won't have been able to next year due to incoming punishment for the Kirk Cousins tampering. That's a big brain take right there. I guess it never entered my mind that might be such bad punishment that they lose a first round pick for it. But it is a thought that they're reacting to that. I don't know. From Ty, with the Bengals about to pick, I know it isn't a first round question, but how would you feel about them taking Tip Raymond in the 5th? Love it. Absolutely love it. I love pretty much any team taking Tip Raymond. He just seems like the perfect 5th round developmental tight end, 270 pounds, ran fast, explosive dude, good reps against the run, but just needs more time. I mean, you could pretty much insert any team for me on Tip Raymond, and I'm a fan of them taking him. Thanks for the super chat, Ty. I appreciate it. All right, Steelers are about to pick. I'm going to guess this is going to be Troy Fautanu, a tackle out of Washington. But we'll see. Maybe my Johnny Newton take will come true for them. They might take a minute here.
They're gonna do the Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Which was Cam Hayward won it, it looks like. Good for Cam Hayward. It's hard with audio because I don't know if he's reading the card or if he's got a little speech planned. Okay, I think he's. Should I do a super chat or should we wait for Cam? I feel like they give him the platform to have like a speech.
A little super chat, but what he's saying is really important too. So good job, Bird.
Yes.
Congratulations to him. Okay, he's gonna make the draft.
Okay. Are you listening to it? Oh, you have
To listen
you have your headphones in. I didn't know that.
I'm a multitasker.
Hey, we called it. There's the bell. You know who hates the bell? Teddy.
Oh, look at how happy he is.
Good for Troy Fautanu. Okay, fantastic fit for the Steelers. I'm going to give this an A+ grade because I think this has a little bit of a steal element to it. In my opinion, other tackles have been drafted that are not as good of a player as Troy Fautanu. I think he's being slept on because he's smaller. But God, he's just so freaking good, man. I'll play the clips of him just demolishing dudes. Really both phases. There's so many things to like about him in Pittsburgh too. Starting with he is a brilliant wide zone blocker, and they hired Arthur Smith to come in and implement that, stretch run, outside zone, wide zone blocking scheme. And the guy they have there in Pittsburgh right now at left tackle, Dan Moore, has been fine. You could have replaced him either way. But he's not the athlete of a Fautanu to get on the move, reach the edge, get to the second level, get to those linebackers. So from a run game perspective, I really wanted to see Troy Fautanu go to a wide zone specific system like the Dolphins, the Steelers now, where they're going to be able to use him that way because he is a smaller player. He's not the best at like inside zone or power at just like taking a 260-pound defensive end and just driving him off the spot. He can do it, but it's not like you get with Mims or Fuaga or Latham even. It's more of like, as a run blocker, put him in a move block system. I also love that he will be playing tackle because there was some talk about him potentially being a guard. I disagree for all the reasons we just mentioned. I think you take that play strength and put him at guard, and it's more of an issue than it is a tackle, if that makes sense. But I just raved about his run blocking. That's really not my favorite thing about Troy Fautanu. I think he is very reminiscent to me of, I would go as high as saying Rashawn Slater, who's been a Pro Bowl left tackle for the Chargers, who fell in the draft because he was undersized. Even Rashawn Slater, though, had shorter arms. Fautanu doesn't. He's got 34.5-inch arms, which is more than good enough. And considering he's short, it's actually a huge advantage because he's low to the earth, but his arms are plenty of reach. So he's always winning that leverage battle, but remarkable athleticism, best feet in the draft in terms of pass protection, and I would say including Joe Alt probably. I don't know what my official grade was there. Best. Actually, I have Fashanu with the best feet, but Fautanu with the same pass block footwork grade as I do on Joe Alt. And just so good with his hands, using that length well. So I couldn't be happier for the Steelers because you've been stomaching Dan Moore. He's been okay, but I think you just got like a massive upgrade at left tackle. I am very curious. It's going to be fun seeing him. This is like the ultimate test of the, with a guy like Fashanu being in this draft, there's been a rise in the debate of like, how much does size matter at tackle? Where's the arm length debate come in and all that? Now, obviously, I said Fashanu's got long arms, so it's not like you're taking Rashawn Slater and putting him in this situation. What I'm getting at here is, though, he's going to see Myles Garrett twice a year in that division. So how does the freakiest superhuman of an edge rusher match up against the quote-unquote undersized tackle? It's going to be a really fun battle to watch. But yeah, I couldn't have really gone with a better pick for the Steelers. Super chats. Clement, thank you. $20 super chat with no comment attached. Just out here supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Cyrudin, the PhD, back in the chat. PhD in chemistry. Wow. Smart man. But with that, Jacksonville. Oh, because Jacksonville traded down. Dude, Quinyon Mitchell is still on the board. Holy goodness. So for Jacksonville, you're asking cornerback, wide receiver, or O-line at 23. I'm pretty locked in on Jacksonville taking a corner. And I like the trade down because you can get Quinyon, you can get Arnold, you can get Cooper DeJean. Smart trade down with the corners falling. If you don't have a huge gap between those guys, which, I think Quinyon is cornerback 1, but I don't think it's like a super large fall off to some of those other guys. So, and maybe they can get Quinyon at 23, but it's got to be corner for me. Just looking at their depth chart, and I will say I like Brian Thomas in that offense. So if he's still there, if he gets past these next couple picks, which I think he will. I mean, maybe the Dolphins just take more speed and take Brian Thomas, which I think would be a horrible pick, but yeah, we'll see. I think they go corner. I don't think they need to go O-line, especially with all the top guys really gone now. From Adrenaline, have I checked out the UFL at all? Yes, I have.
Woo!
I'm 3-1 in our UFL fantasy league. We've been enjoying it. I
think we're the 4 people that actually have a
UFL fantasy league. Yeah.
UFL now.
Yeah, USFL, XFL. Yeah, we've been watching it, man. It's been pretty good. I like that they merged it because
You're a big DC Defenders.
Yeah, I'm a DC guy. Don't have a
showboat gal. Myself.
She's a showboats gal. The merging of the UFL and the XFL was definitely necessary because they were stretched too thin. So I'm glad they got that done. And yeah, I think the football's been pretty good. So the Dolphins picks coming in. Pick 21. I feel like we're going, Chop Robinson. There it is. Wasn't really sure how high Chop was going to go because he's got these crazy traits. Not the best tape, but he does make a lot of sense for Miami. And I'm going to give this a B. I think it's a solid pick for Miami. Maybe even a B minus. Dave Whitman, the big dono. Thank you, Dad. Very generous.
Thank you, Dave.
Maybe we'll take that money and go to Mexico or something. Maybe you can come see us down there. But I'm going. Did you put a B minus on the thing, or?
I did put a B minus. Would you like it changed?
Yeah, I'm gonna go B minus, or it's like a B/TBD because I'm terrified of their offensive line situation. I don't know who the hell they're gonna have lining up on the interior. You had a pair of real good starters, especially a guy like Graham Barton there. Now, if you can get good guys in the second round, you're gonna make up for it. There's a lot here. So I think in terms of Chop Robinson going with the 21st pick, it's fine. That's probably the absolute top of the range that I would have been comfortable with Chop Robinson. I have him as I think at the end of the day, a 1 to 2 grade as a top 40 player in this draft. So it's a little early, but when you're talking about edge rushers being that premium position, like if he hits, that's going to pay back a lot of value. So I don't think it's like crazy early or anything. He would have been tied for my best edge rusher available with the other 3 guys gone. I'm tied with Jonah Ellis, who I'm just preposterously high on. But that's all fine. We mentioned the interior offensive line need. What I'm really interested in here is that I wasn't sure how serious they felt that their edge rush injuries are. We got a podcast question the other day that was like, what are some of the teams' draft picks that you're most curious to see who they go with and what that means about other existing players on the team? And I didn't think about Miami, but I should have answered the Miami edge group because you have now two highly invested in, highly productive, in Bradley Chubb's case, a paid edge rusher, and in Jalen Phillips' case, a soon-to-be paid edge rusher if he can stay healthy. You know, this is like a blockbuster edge duo, but both guys had season-ending injuries. Jalen Phillips has a track record of injuries, was forced to medically retire back in his UCLA days. Not related to his Achilles that ruptured this season, but that's starting to stack up. And then you have Bradley Chubb, who does have a history of, this was his second ACL injury in the league. He went down last year. So you got these two mega pieces. How did they feel about heading into next year, heading into the future? Clearly, Miami's like, man, we don't know if and when we're going to get those guys. So it is very fascinating. It's just one of those situations where the pick informs us outsiders of what's going on there, and you are immediately, it's similar to when the Saints took the right tackle with Ryan Ramczyk being reported some big medical issues. Immediately as a fan, you're like, you're not surprised, you're not mad about it. It's a good prospect, decent, a great position of value and all that. But as a fan, you're like, dang it, like it must be worse than we might fear at that position. So that's really what's fascinating to me. But Chop Robinson as a prospect has that thing you can't coach. I think I have a short cut up on him, but he has that elite first step bend around the edge. Just the ability to get on top of the corner and bend around it. He ran a 4.48, like the best 10-yard split or one of the best 10-yard splits in terms of how fast is he out of his stance. I mean, it's you can't coach his juice. But there's a lot that you do need to coach him. Like, he doesn't really do anything other than just run around the edge, and a lot of college tackles couldn't hang with that. But it's going to be different in the NFL. So can he develop inside counters? I think there's more potential in there for more of a bull rush from him. But there's a lot of bust potential with him as well. So I think we summed it up pretty well. I think it's a decent risk to take, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be a great player in the league. I don't think he'll ever be he was drafted 21, so he might be like a bust or whatever. Like, he might not be a quality starter, but he'll at least be a useful weapon for your defense with that speed, with that get off. It reminds me of like Vic Beasley, who lucked into like a 15 sack season once. Talk about the UFL. He's playing in the UFL right now. But reminds me of Vic Beasley, where it's like, he never fully sucked, but he did become overrated based on where he was drafted and how consistent he was. So we'll see what they do with the interior of the offensive line moving forward. So the Eagles are up. Board couldn't have fallen any better for the Eagles. I mean, this is probably Quinyon Mitchell, right? This is like the classic, if they take Quinyon, this would be like the classic Howie Roseman, how does he keep getting away with it type of meme. NFC East fans are probably just ticked right now that the league is going to let the Eagles get cornerback one. We'll see what they do, though. They don't typically draft corner this early. The Bears Cup. Eagles pick is...
Oh, he's talking about the Brazil game.
Oh, shout out Well, you're kind of shout out to Brazil. I was thinking that you're probably sound asleep, but no, Brazil's probably right in line. You're probably East Coast time.
No.
You don't think so?
What is the time in Brazil? It's 11:46 p.m. in Brazil.
Okay, so they're 2 hours. So they're in like West, like Mountain Time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think the whole dynamics change once you go south of the equator, because it's not like a flat map, right? It like rounds. That would make sense. But yeah, shout out to they're showing. Oh, so Jordan Mailata is in Australia making the pick. So this is just the international selection here. But yeah, we got like a lot of Brazilian followers. So if you're in the chat, shout out.
What did we say the other day? Almost 1,000.
There it is, Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah, that's like A+. That's probably like the steal of the draft so far. Quinyon was, I think, he was my 8th player on my big board. And for the Eagles to fill that cornerback need without having to trade up is just wild. I mean, this one speaks for itself. Classic how did we let the Eagles get Quinyon Mitchell? Like, damn it. Congrats to Eagles fans, though. That's huge. Mitchell is, I mean, my pro comp on him is Darius Slay, so it just keeps getting better and better. He's eventually going to overtake Darius Slay. I think he can play in the slot right away if you want him to. They don't necessarily need him to. But yeah, he's a monster, man. He was, to me, kind of the clear cornerback one in this draft. I felt like if Nate Wiggins didn't have some kind of medical questions, he might have been in the mix for cornerback one, but Mitchell's tape was phenomenal. His production was insane. He tested extremely well. He ran like a 4.33 or something and was good otherwise. Was dominant at the Senior Bowl. Just one of the best Senior Bowl weeks for a cornerback prospect, which, you know, for a guy coming out of Toledo, he knew that was a big week for him. And there's some of the clips I recorded myself down there in Mobile, but he needed a big week at the Senior Bowl, making that jump in competition, and just every bit fit the bill. One of the better just kind of pre-draft processes where he was viewed as a borderline first-round talent before the Senior Bowl, and then just every step of the road. Senior Bowl, combine, interviews, you name it, just cemented himself as CB1. So just a testament to his work. And yeah, he's probably going to be a freaking Pro Bowler for the Eagles. That, I think, is going to be a pretty consensus opinion that this is a truly phenomenal pick for the Eagles.
I think our friend Tom, that we met on our honeymoon, would love a good shout out in the form of an Eagles chant. What do you think?
Oh no.
Are you ready?
E.
A.
G.
L.
E.
You spelled it right.
E-A-G. No, I'm good.
You misspelled it. Oh God.
You
Tom.
are the one missing.
Tom, I'm sorry.
Oh, this is
Go
bad.
Eagles.
This is bad. Are we right back in Mexico for our honeymoon trying to do an Eagles chant? Goodness. Okay, well, maybe we'll try that again if they have a good second round pick. They have two. They have 2 picks in the second round,
All
so
right,
we'll
get it together.
We'll get it together. We'll practice overnight, and we'll get our. God, I'm embarrassed. Is this live? Can we cut that out? All right. We're coming up on the Packers pick, by the way. Would have loved a little Quinyon Mitchell in green and gold, but Eagles pecked him. All right. Kirk was supposedly shocked by the pick. Yeah, I'll be curious to see kind of how that comes out. Like, did they communicate that to Kirk? Because that was a big thing with Rodgers and Love, was like, they didn't tell him that they were going to do that. And it's like, yeah, you should probably tell your Hall of Fame quarterback, or also Kirk Cousins, who just took a massive pay cut, not a pay cut, a massive payday to go there, left Minnesota because he thought it was a place they're going to win. So if they didn't tell Kirk that they were going to pick a quarterback, that's kind of a big woof by that organization. Derek, I think this was a while ago. What do you think about the Eagles pick? Obviously, big fans now after the fact. Thank you for the super chat, Derek. Things played out well for you. I'm sorry we missed that ahead of time, but I don't think you're complaining getting Quinyon at 22. That's awesome. We have a member comment from Chaser. Shout out to the YouTube members.
Thank you, Chaser.
Yeah, Chaser. We love
doing a great job modding as well.
Oh, Chaser's been on top of it. Awesome. Thoughts on the AJB extension, meaning AJB. AJB. Who's AJB, baby?
Chaser, help us out. I know.
I should know this. Do you mean ASB? Amon-Ra St. Brown? I mean, he got the big extension. Oh, AJ Brown got an extension? I mean, sure. I didn't see what they paid him, but yes. He's what? No, I'm not being sassy to you or Chaser. I'm being just in general sassy. Like, AJ Brown is definitely one of those guys, like, pay him whatever you gotta, like, top market wide receiver, top tier wide receiver all the way. So, definitely whatever the money was, I'm sure it wasn't ludicrous. I'm going to guess it was like 33, 34 mil. And the Eagles are so good at structuring their contracts too that, like, I'm sure they're going to work around it just fine. Okay, Jags pick. Don't take Cooper DeJean from my Packers. We're too close at this point. Brian Thomas Jr., A+ pick for Jacksonville. Wow. You trade down and then get Brian Thomas Jr.? Trent Baalke, good work. We haven't been applauding the Jags a whole lot on these streams.
We need to go there this year.
Okay, I'm down.
We don't usually say that for the Jags.
It's a quick trip down from Charlotte. Can we get the pool seats? Can we go to just sit in the pool and watch a Jags game? All right. I had Brian Thomas Jr. as a top 15 player for me, and what a fit with Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to take Gabe Davis's job. They just gave Gabe Davis $40 million. That's the only confusing thing about this pick was Brian Thomas's role is exactly what Gabe Davis does. Go far, go fast, catch the football, right? Gabe Davis has been inconsistent at the whole catching the football thing and the whole fast thing. So to me, Brian Thomas is a much better player. He's like case study number 2 for why I'm watching Jayden Daniels, and I'm just continuously kind of underwhelmed by the Jayden Daniels side of things in LSU's offense, because it's like, dude, these receivers are freaking incredible. And Brian Thomas, I think, is being a little bit underrated because Jayden went 2, Nabers went 6. This dude's an absolute burner. He has elite release off the line of scrimmage because he accelerates so quickly. He's got a pretty good release package for such a young player. I think he flashes better route running than he gets credit for. I've seen people say like he's only a vertical threat. I would say right now that's really all he is. But I think he has the hip fluidity, the foot speed. Obviously, when you're moving as fast as he is and you're 6'3", it is difficult to have like real change of direction and be this like hyper versatile route runner. But I think there's room for him to improve his route pacing so he's not always running 100%, so that he can run different routes. Like, there's plenty of room to work with him. He's super young, and he's in a situation where he has ancillary pieces around him, right? You got Gabe Davis, you got Christian Kirk, you have Zay Jones, you got Evan Ingram. So like, he's going to be in a spot where he can do what he does well early on and then develop other stuff too. So big fan of this pick. Big fan of this pick for Trevor Lawrence, because how many times, or if you've seen the cut up of Trevor Lawrence, like all of his like almost completions where he's launching a deep ball and it's like just out of the receiver's hands, or the guy's like just out of range, and it's like, man, Trevor just needs a receiver with a little bit of an extra gear. out there, and that is absolutely Brian Thomas Jr. So to move down and get that player is an absolute slam dunk for Jacksonville. I never know. I never know if the YouTube ad comes through. I just did insert ad break from YouTube, so you're welcome for the ad. Or I'm sorry, depending. A couple super chats though from Shadow. If Adonai Mitchell is there at 30, should the Ravens take him? I would say so. Yes. I think for Baltimore, we've obviously emphasized the tackle need for him throughout this draft season. Honestly, wide receiver is just as big of a need. Corner is going to be a need for them. The Ravens have had a rough offseason, and I definitely think there's a world where Mitchell is one of, if not the best players available. And I love Zay Flowers, but they need more. They do. Odell's not there anymore. Bateman has not taken that step up. So I think Mitchell would make a lot of sense. From Gabe, the difference between Balky and Roseman is the Jags just traded back so the Eagles could snipe Mitchell right in front of them. It's true. But the Jags made up for it. I think Brian Thomas or Quinyon Mitchell were like probably my two favorite players for them. So, I mean, they had to know when they traded down from 23 you weren't getting Mitchell, but Balky, we had a podcast question. We did a podcast for like answering your NFL draft questions, and one of the questions was like, who really needs to have a good draft for their team to take a step forward? And the first team I went to was Jacksonville, because it's like they just have not been crushing these drafts really down the board all the way. So hopefully that's the start of a good Jags draft for all you down in Jacksonville. Another question about the AJ Brown and Devontae Smith extensions. So, like both.
Can I put in reference for you, just so you know what the AJ Brown deal was? It was 3 years for 96.
3 years, 96. So yeah, right on. I think we said like 32, 33. Ooh, the Lions are coming up. They're trying to snipe Green Bay. They did this last year for Brian Branch. I'm ready. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. I like the trade down for Dallas, by the way, because they have a lot of needs this year. I think for AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, those are two players that I'm willing to pay both those players. They're premium wide receivers. The Eagles are fascinating though, because when you look at their cap situation in like 2027, I'm very fascinated to see how they get out of it. If you kind of take a deeper dive into it, the cap hits in that area are pretty crazy. So I would imagine the extensions actually were trying to get on top of that and redistribute some of that money. But I don't really have any takes on like AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Like, yes, pay them. I think both of them are essential in letting Jalen Hurts play as good as he's played. So Dallas gets an extra third round pick. We'll see what Detroit does here. I mean, Terrion Arnold or Cooper DeJean definitely feel like Detroit Lions. Jerjon Newton feels like a Detroit Lion. They could go wide receiver. It would be pretty funny if they stole Cooper DeJean in front of Green Bay, because that's been the player for Green Bay since like January mock drafts. We've been like, oh yeah, Cooper DeJean is a Packer all the way. Hadn't really thought about him going to Detroit because he usually doesn't get past Green Bay. Well, here we go. That'd be a pretty freaking funny pick if they did it. But the board has fallen very well for Green Bay either way because Cooper DeJean, Terrion Arnold, you've got Graham Barton. Like, the board has fallen for Green Bay no matter what Detroit does. But that would definitely be the pick. At the Packer fan in me would be like, God damn you, Detroit. We do have a super chat from Andrew. Who's winning the draft so far? Bears, Vikings, or Eagles? Yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I love the Seahawks were able to get Byron Murphy. Was one of my favorite picks.
I almost think the Vikings are winning based on what they had available. Right? They didn't have the number one draft pick.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikes...
Out of those three, I would say.
The Vikes' ability to navigate this draft is really impressive. To get McCarthy at 10 and then to come up for Byron Murphy after they made that whole trade with the Texans. I mean, they've had to work to win the draft. Whereas, I mean, Bears just stayed put. The Panthers gave them the number one pick. They sucked last year. They made great picks with what they had. The Eagles, the league gifted them Quinyon Mitchell. The Vikings have had to kind of navigate this thing. I think they've done a really good job.
I think you used a good word for them, finesse. They really finessed it.
They have finessed the draft, yep. Absolutely.
My unexperienced opinion.
I think the Bengals and Steelers picks too, those tackle picks were like the perfect fits in terms of who those players were. I think they really slide in well. Oh, right. I forgot we're in Detroit. I was like, why is this taking so long? The draft is in Detroit. I was like, looks like they're going to take a minute here. Keep catching up on super chats here from Cyrudin. Thomas Jr. was worth staying up till 5 a.m. in Germany for. Congrats, my friend. You can go to sleep now. Yeah, where in Germany, Cyrudin? Yeah, can we come visit you? From Volkfang. I thought there were so many cornerbacks that would fit what the Jags want to do that are round two guys, but not as many outside wide receivers. Yeah. I mean, there's a very good talent pool of corner where the Jags have picks, and you move down to maybe take an extra one too. So I like what the Jags have done. They'd be up in my top, 6 or 7 favorite picks or moves so far.
Several people have asked for the dog cabinet. Tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, you guys, so
Chaser says the people want a teddy can.
I know.
Okay, next commercial break, we'll try again.
I don't think it's gonna work. I mean, I can try it again. It won't light up. I'd have to restart the whole thing, and I don't really want to do that and risk losing the stream.
Teddy can.
Okay, Terrion Arnold. There it is. So they go Arnold over Cooper DeJean. I mean, I don't want to do this again with Detroit. I like the move. I'm going to go A-. He definitely fits their mentality. I see why they love him. They're going to be stoked. Inside-outside flexibility. He's reunited with Brian Branch. You got to love that. His Alabama teammate. Really talented player. I don't think this is for me, I've always said I like Terrion Arnold. I don't love Terrion Arnold. This is not me hating on Detroit picks. I said that on the PFF Stock Exchange show. The Packer fan in me is glad it wasn't Cooper DeJean. I'll say that. But you gave up the third. That's a hefty pick that they gave up. They gave the Vikings 3rd round pick to go up and get him. So it's rich. Terrion Arnold, in terms of my big board, for example, is at he is probably right around here at 24. Okay. Got him at 18. So I think A- is I'm not trying to hate on the pick. I'm just saying that giving up the 3rd with the way the board is starting to fall, would I rather have the 3rd and risk that because you knew Arnold wasn't going there at 24, right? I think I'd rather keep the third, see if Arnold or DeJean or even a third plus. I really like Kool-Aid McKinstry, the other Bama corner. You can make a case that it would have been better to just stay put, keep the third round pick. There's a lot of smart people in the industry that have said you got to be careful when you trade up because that guy has to hit. But we're giving it an A- grade. He is a really fun fit, excellent press man corner. He's a trash talker. He is every bit the knee-biting corner they are looking for. So I get why they're really excited about it. From Colton, Super Chat, thank you, Colton. Is the NFC North the best division next year? I'm going to say no. I think we need a little bit more time in the NFC North. It's going to be really good, though. I would say it's in the top half of the league. I think the AFC South could be incredible next year. The AFC North will be right back there. AFC East will still be very good. I think the NFC North is up there, but we got to see what the Bears look like. We got to see if the Packers can keep it rolling from the end of last year. The Vikings, I think, will be very good, but they're in a bit of a transition year with the quarterback situation. So if you said, will the NFC North be the best division in 2025? I think I would say yes. Although the AFC South is nuts too. So Connor, what's up, Connor? I was wondering when we were going to catch you. 4 a.m. out there in the UK, waiting for the Cowboys to reach on Kingsley or a linebacker like all the reports say they were going to.
Thank you for joining us, Connor, by the way, out there.
Yeah. But yeah, at least you traded down and got the third round pick. If you're going to reach on Kingsley, it's an easy thing to swallow, I think. It's not easy because I don't think he's worth a first round pick, but it's easier to deal with it when you're picking up the extra draft capital. I'm always a fan of, like, if you know you're reaching, at least trade down, right? Like, if you're so convinced you got to have this guy, but you at least are able to recognize, like, this isn't John Gruden or some of those Pete Carroll picks where it's like, no, we're just going to stay at the pick and take the guy. From Tim, would you take Wiggins or Newton over the offensive needs for New England if either fall to 34? Honestly, no. I think that might surprise some people. I think when you take Drake Maye, that 34th pick undoubtedly has to go offense, whether it's a tackle or a receiver. I just think defensively they are set up good and well. They have a lot of talent on that side of the ball, underrated even. I would 100% pass on best player available to take a wide receiver or a offensive lineman if I'm New England. And I would probably be a little bit critical if they don't use that, because it's like, you were gifted Drake Maye, don't blow this type of deal. All right, Packers pick is in. AJ with the super chat celebrating the Quinyon Mitchell pick. Yes.
Teddy wants to be your comfort animal.
All right, Teddy. Let's.
He's got his green Packers.
So the board has fallen very nicely for Green Bay. Is that good? Hey, Ted. What's up, dude? You gonna be my comfort animal if Brian Gutekunst drops the ball on this thing? No comment? Okay. My two ideal picks for Green Bay are right there. Graham Barton and Cooper DeJean. Last year when they took Kyle Van Noy, oh my gosh. Those two guys always mix me up. It's Lucas Van Ness. When they took Lucas Van Ness, that was the closest thing to like a pick I was really happy about with their first round. And I loved what they did on day 2. So I've had some years with these Packers drafts of absolute anger. But it's been a good couple of years. The Quay Walker pick was kind of my tipping point. And then ever since then, it's been like back in the right direction. All right, Teddy, here we go. But Graham Barton, Cooper DeJean would be happy. I'm down for any wide receiver, really. Like a Keon Coleman I'd be cool with, or, I mean, any of these guys. Come on, Teddy. Tell me something good. Not Braden Fisk. The suspense is killing me, Roger. Jordan Morgan. All right. I'm game. That's a solid B pick. I'm not going to complain about it.
Really? Not a Packers fan?
Yeah, no, I think it's fine.
Not the same without a Packers
I don't get why you don't take Cooper DeJean there. That's my credit.
Shot ready for you and everything.
I'll take it. We're getting towards the end. I can do a shot. Unless Teddy, you want it? No, So I like Jordan Morgan. It makes a ton of sense as a Packer because he's got tackle guard flexibility, very Zach Tom-y as a player for them. I just don't get why they don't just do the things that they should do most of the time in the first round. Like Cooper DeJean is right there for you. He would have been the perfect Green Bay Packer. I also like Graham Barton's a better player, but if they really wanted a guy that could be a tackle in the event that Rasheed Walker isn't good, I get why they would go Jordan Morgan. So they need a right guard. I think Jordan Morgan will ultimately be their right guard. But we'll see how it plays out because Rasheed Walker was a 7th round pick that really outplayed himself last year. It gives you a little bit of insurance there. I cannot complain about this pick. I do like Jordan Morgan, and I'm very happy that it was not Tyler Guyton. So we said some other players that I would have taken. I was definitely worried they were going to take Tyler Guyton, who I just do not believe in this high, or like all this Kingsley Suamatea pick. Jordan Morgan is 100% a Green Bay Packer type, so I'm not going to complain about this pick. You feel very good about the O-line now moving into day 2 where they have a million picks, and I don't think they screwed it up. I'm just a little sad that I've been picturing Cooper DeJean in a Packers jersey.
People are actually much more disappointed than you are in the chat.
Well, I liked Jordan
They're
Morgan.
not saying he's a D, but a lot of people are saying he's mid or a C.
No, it makes a lot of sense for Green Bay. I think the main dagger to the heart is that it's not Cooper DeJean. But once you get over that, you're like, he would have been, and I love Graham Barton, but there's a lot of similarities between Barton and Morgan. And I do think Morgan has more ability to actually play tackle than Barton. He moves a lot better out in space. I really get why they like Jordan Morgan. So
People are indicating that you've just been beaten down over the years by travel of the Green Bay picks. So you're just fine with it.
I mean, if they didn't take him, Dallas or Baltimore or San Francisco or Kansas City, like he was going to go in the next 5 picks. So I don't think they like reached. He was my best tackle available for them. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about it, but I will do a shot. Thank you for the shot.
I was preparing for a rant, baby.
Can I have something to help put this down with though?
Yes, you have this lovely Bears.
How about
this lovely Bears cup
full of water. This water chaser. Thank you. Here for the YouTube censor, I'll hide it behind this ugly Bears cup.
Now that's a look.
I always get that nose flare when I take a shot. Go Sox though. Red Sox.
I was like, what
Not the White
Sox
Sox,
are you
not the
talking
3-26. What's the record after the Twins gave them a 4-game sweep this week?
about? Moving on.
Yeah, the White Sox are so bad. I could spend the next 30 minutes just talking about how bad the White Sox are. That sounds good to me. We do have some super chats though. Or just one from Cyrodian back for us. You're originally in Bavaria, so this was Cyrodian from Germany, because you want to know where he was located.
Yes, I do.
So Bavaria, which is, by my understanding, that's like a general region of Germany, or is they're actually like a Bavaria city. You don't know? Okay. Sorry to keep throwing German questions at you, Cyrano.
We just love Germany. We're going back there for Marcus's 30th next month.
That's the hope. That is the hope. But he says he'll show us to the best places in Chemnitz in Germany. Sounds good to us, man. Sounds good to us. As you learned earlier, those Instagram DMs are open. You just got to wait 3 years for me to check my Instagram, but we'll be in touch. What? I was just saying, if he wants to get in touch with us. I was joking about the 3-year thing.
I thought you meant I was missing Instagram DMs. All right, we're getting off track.
No. Yeah, we're getting way off the rails here. You have to wait till next year's draft stream until we open up the Instagram again. I mean, it's probably the last time I was on there. But yeah, we're all caught up with super chats. I mean, I can play some Jordan Morgan highlights here for you guys. Show that he's not so bad. I had Jordan Morgan ranked ahead of, I think I copped out of ranking him ahead of JC Latham, but I had them very close. So to put this in perspective, I had and not everyone's familiar with my grading scale, but I had a 6.40 grade on JC Latham with a first to a second round mark on that. And then I had a 6.35 grade on Jordan Morgan with a top 50 grade mark. So just a tick behind JC Latham, who obviously went 7th overall. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Another big shout out to Big Dave Whitman. Thank you for the generous donation earlier. That's how we're gonna get to Germany, I think, with your super chat donation. All right, Bucks pick is in. We got 6 picks. Yeah, 6 picks left. I don't know where the Bucks are gonna go here. I don't know that the board has necessarily fallen well for them. Oh, yeah, Graham Barton makes a ton of sense. I mean, Tampa Bay and Green Bay, the two Bays, just completely view O-line the same way, although obviously Green Bay just passed on Graham Barton, but yeah, this is right up the Bucks' alley. They like Green Bay. They love these like versatile, tough dudes. I'm gonna give this an A for the Bucks. I would have taken Graham Barton for Green Bay the pick before. He also brings center versatility. It looks like they actually announced him as a center. I mean, you put him right in the mix there at either the guard. I mean, they took the guy with the missing front teeth in the second round last year because he was known, Cody Mock. It's not offensive. It's his look. It's his brand. He's got the long red hair, and you are laughing right now. They took Cody Mock in the second round last year, and he didn't really kill it in year one. So I think Graham Barton could potentially just beat him out as a guard, but they still have Robert Hainsey at center. Like in left guard, they have Sua Opita, so they might just play Graham Barton at left guard with Hainsey and Mock. Huge need. So the value adds up. Graham Barton was a top 15 player for me, top 20 for sure. I think he's an absolute monster. And
wow, this is a quick next pick here.
yeah, they're flying here, but we'll play a little Graham Barton for you. He's playing left tackle in these clips.
Already.
Oh, Darius Robinson for the Cardinals. Okay. Ahead of Jerjon Newton, really. I'm going to give this pick a C- for the Cardinals. While people... We're waiting for the mouse to come back to my end so I can take the... It's okay. We're all good. We're working off the same PC.
If we haven't said that already, we're
we're working off of the same mouse. So
Yeah.
thank you for your patience.
I'm
just a girl.
I'm controlling the stream part, and she has the graphics part, so we have to fight over the mouse. But Darius Robinson to Arizona, I just don't get why not Johnny Newton. Like, that's really weird to me.
That is what several people in your chat have said.
So the Cardinals are we talk 3-4 versus 4-3 all the time, but they are a stand-up edge rusher system. They announced Darius Robinson as an edge, but everything I've ever known about Jonathan Gannon's defense, he's going to be a interior player for the most part. That's another thing I'm very curious about, is where is he lining up? I mean, I'm sure he'll put his hand in the dirt, play some 5-tech on early downs, slide inside later. I mean, he brings a lot of toughness and honestly talent. I liked Darius Robinson more than I thought I would. He was a top 50-ish player for me. So it's not like crazy, this idea of taking Darius Robinson here. But Johnny Newton is such a better athlete, such a better pass rusher. I think fits their system better. I just don't understand that. It's tough. I think Darius Robinson can be an effective player for the Cardinals. He was one of the higher floor defensive linemen, edge players in this draft, but he's just not a speed threat around the edge. He's definitely a guy that you want sliding inside on pass rush downs. I can't destroy the pick. That's why I'm going C-. It's a need. He's a useful player. It's a position of value. My high-end comp for him is the
Also,
former USC guy. Well, it says edge on NFL Network. It says edge, but
people in the chat. So I'm sorry.
No, that's not your fault. It's a complex debate. Welcome to the edge debate,
I hate
babe.
this. Every year it's the same thing. Every time I put edge,
I know.
later
I mean,
down, someone's like, it's a...
we broke it down though. We commented on that. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot more sense that they would announce him as a D tackle, but I was getting at Leonard Williams is the name I was trying to think of. Like, I could see a Leonard Williams outcome for him, which would obviously be a home run. He's a tweener. He's a high floor tweener, really good swim move. Like, his push pull swim pass rush move is going to work in the NFL. I think he can get you 40 pressures, play good run defense. He can be a very solid player. He's going to play a lot as a first round pick. It's just a little bit early, and there were other guys I liked a lot better. So Cardinals can, other than getting Marvin Harrison, the Cardinals continue to have just a abysmal offseason, honestly. Like, dude, give me Cooper DeJean in this Cardinals secondary. I don't know, man. Okay, the Chiefs have traded up. Are they? This is going to be interesting. So there's a lot of reports over the last 48 hours. The Chiefs and Cowboys are in on Kingsley Suamataia. This will be interesting to monitor if the Chiefs are jumping Dallas for Kingsley Suamataia, which is a huge risk. He would be maybe the most raw offensive tackle I've ever seen go in the first round. A ton of traits, a ton of upside, but that would be ballsy to trade up for Kingsley Suamataia. Like, you have to have that player. Or hold up. Forget Dallas and Kingsley Suamataia. If the Bills just gave a superstar wide receiver to the Chiefs, what are we doing in Buffalo? That's another thing. The Bills are the team that traded down here with Adonai Mitchell on the board. So there are some narratives with this pick coming up. Clement, we love the Vikings with the super chat there from Clement. Vikings, Seahawks, Jags, Eagles. Really like that Bucks pick we just got. I will say, I will use your super chat as a moment to promote. I'm going to be doing overnight the first round draft grades. So we do first round grades, and then we wait till the whole draft is done. And then this year, what I'm going to do, instead of doing by division, I'm just going to do every team. And they're just going to be flying out for days. So you get full reactions for every single pick back here on YouTube after the fact. But do look out within the next 12 hours or so for the first round reactions. Once I can kind of collect my thoughts, a lot of moving pieces here on the fly, but you'll be getting the kind of official grades, or at least initial official grades, because the official grades will be the final team draft grades at the end.
And I'd just like to give a shout out that Marcus's 30th birthday is May 9th.
Yep.
So all those super chats, all of your generous donations, we're going to take Marcus on a nice trip. So we're going to get all that content to you, but just know we got a big party coming up.
Let's keep getting through these super chats to catch up before the next pick comes in. But from John, do you think that with the way corners have fell in the draft, that maybe the league is lower on this corner class than the general public? Or do you think it's just that teams are focusing on offense? I mean, probably a little bit of both to give you the cop-out answer. I'm not surprised that the league is a little bit lower. You know, Terrion Arnold ran a 4.5. It's a deterrent for a cornerback. You know, surprised the Lions maybe didn't have a little Jeff Okudah PTSD who ran slow and didn't return the value. So I think that hurt Terrion Arnold's stock. Cooper DeJean, I have heard that most of the league does view him as a safety, so if that's true, it makes sense why they're not taking him here. The Terrion Arnold thing I can't fully explain. But it certainly isn't the case that the league is low on corners. I know that's not what you're saying, but that was my first thought. That's not the case because, I mean, we've seen Sauce, Stingley, last year with Witherspoon. Like, the league is valuing corners high, but it does seem that they're, a little bit lower on this corner class. But also, the offensive talent in this draft is just incredible. It really is. So it's a little bit of both. It's a good question. I think we're about to see a run on some of these guys. But I don't know. I mean, San Fran and Baltimore could certainly use corners. So, Cyrudin says Bavaria is the region. We're back on this. It's a good thing to address here while we wait for this pick. Bavaria is the region where Munich lies. Okay, so he's by Munich, which is our favorite. We love Munich out there in Germany. From Andrew, picks 7 and 8 were massive shocks. The rest of the draft has been low-key, very, very vanilla. Yeah, I agree. We were talking about that a little bit earlier, where a lot of teams are just sticking and picking. It's a good reminder, like, hey, when it's a good draft, shocker. Like, teams want to make their picks.
Something we talked about earlier. Is it just a good talent or is it good planning? But I think those go hand in hand. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we spend so much time talking about like, oh, you got to trade down, you got to collect picks, you got to play the value game. And it's like, no, when there's really good players, it's hard to pass those guys up. And these teams are just picking the good players.
Yeah. This is only the third trade, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Minnesota, and this.
If I'm remembering correctly.
You would know. You're the one putting the graphics together. You got to remember when there's trades.
You know how many other things I have to remember right now, Marcus.
Also, Adrenaline, thank you for the super chat, for the kind shout.
The Make-A-Wish winner. Awesome.
That's so cool. Getting to announce the pick for your team. Oh, they did it. Xavier Worthy. Oh, man. That's so funny. We've been like joking about the Chiefs maybe doing this. So Xavier Worthy, the guy that broke the 40-yard dash record, I mean, what a landing spot, dude. I will give this I'm just going to give it a B. It's a very solid, sound pick. I'm not going to like rave about the process of trading up for Xavier Worthy. He's going to be a lot of fun in Kansas City. He might be a super freaky, like, superstar. It's just funny because they trade away Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman leaves. They're like, 2 years later, they're like, that whole like we're faster than everybody thing, that was pretty fun. Let's do that again. We've won 2 Super Bowls. Let's get back to the old Chiefs a little bit because the new Chiefs just aren't good enough. Yeah, I mean, it's so predictable that they would do this to just get the speed back in the offense. They've been trying to thread the needle with your Rashee Rices and all these high difficulty completions to Kelsey. And now this offseason, they're like, yeah, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, go Burr. Patrick's going to launch it. Go have fun. Yeah, it does make sense. Like, you now really open up this offense again. It's like zig when the league zags. You know, the Chiefs were unstoppable with this vertical offense. Everybody starts running quarters. So the Chiefs are like, fine, we'll trade away all our deep threats and we'll just pick you apart underneath and run the ball and have a great O-line. Okay? League got stick of underneath completions. Everybody's shifting back to single high. All the Fangio disciples are getting fired. Less quarters. Great. Bring back the speed. Like, the Chiefs just keep killing it. As far as Xavier Worthy goes, he is a work in progress, but that is why it's a great fit. You know, I have talked about this on Twitter. I think Hollywood Brown, who they signed, speedster from Arizona, I think he's going to have a monster season. I really do. Like, you want some early fantasy football analysis, you want the underdog fantasy best ball draft, the guy you're taking early that's going to be a league winner for you. Promo code TFG. I think Marquise Brown is going to have a monster season, but if and when that happens, can the Chiefs afford that guy? Probably not. I mean, they just paid Chris Jones. They had to trade away L'Jarius Sneed. So I don't know how amazing Xavier Worthy is going to be right now, but in a world where they have to lose Hollywood Brown with kind of a mentor there to just kind of, you know, you'll be able to use Worthy in certain looks. You'll use the speed. You'll tap into that. But in a world where you have to lose Hollywood Brown, but you still want to have that speed, it all adds up, right? So I don't think that's like a massive steal or that he's a slam dunk or that he's guaranteed to be great. I thought he was a good prospect. The speed is tempting. There's holes in his game. I don't think he quite plays as fast as he tested. He definitely runs fast, but I definitely didn't watch his tape and go like, oh my God, that's Tyreek Hill or anything like that. Or even Jalen Waddle speed. Oh, Cowboys fans, Tyler Guyton. There it is. So this is just a solid C+ for me.
All right, this is our first actual C.
I think we gave Penix something like a C.
No, B-.
Okay.
I believe.
I think I changed it from B- to a C+.
Anyways.
So Guyton, I tweeted out yesterday, like, I do this the day before the draft usually, like, who's the guy you don't want your team to take? And Packers fans and Cowboys fans were like, please not Tyler Guyton. He's a project, and I don't like taking true projects unless it's a quarterback. Like guys that'll genuinely, if you have to play them, they will be a problem for your football team. I don't like doing that at a position like tackle in the first round. Second round, absolutely. I do like that they traded down to do this. That probably bumps it from a C to a C+. Good process there. Pick up an extra third round pick. I also do like that the thinking of Tyler Smith as a guard. But it's interesting because the reason I say that is because when Tyler Smith was picked in the first round a couple of years, I thought he was an abysmal pass protector. Now, he's held up okay at tackle in the league. He's been better than I thought. But to replace, instead of putting Tyler Smith at tackle, you're going to put another project at tackle. I guess there's pros and cons to that. But Tyler Smith, I really do just kind of like keeping at guard because he's potentially an all-pro guard in there. I don't know that he's going to be an all-pro tackle. I will say this. Morgan was my highest ranked offensive tackle available. It's position of value. He's got upside. Dallas has had success with that type, but I just don't feel confident that he's going to work out. His tape is very frustrating because it's not like Sua Mateo where you watch him play and it's like every snap he's upright, he has no idea where he's going with his hands, his footwork is a complete disaster. That's Sua Mateo out of BYU. At least him, it's like, okay, clearly this guy just needs a ground up coaching job, and Sua Mateo is a true junior. Guyton is a 4-year player, another year ahead of the curve, but what's frustrating about him is you see reps where his pad level's low, his hands are good, his feet are good, he's got reps of brilliance. You're hoping you can get those out more, but what's a little concerning about that for me is like, okay, well, he's received the coaching, clearly, like he's been told the right thing to do, but you'll see literally one snap, low pad level, great hands, steps inside, cuts off an inside move, and the next move, it's like he's setting high, trying to bear hug the edge. It's like, what is going on here? How does this happen? So, I'm just not a Tyler Guyton guy. I had a second-round grade on him. Definitely not a top 50 player for me. I think it was early, so I'm going C+ on it. He could work out. I'm not trying to write the guy's entire career off or anything, but definitely early. Oh, Ducky's got the TFG bandana?
Ducky is a Raven.
Really?
He is a Ravens fan. He told me. It is true. We must give him a Raven jersey after this.
All right. A rivalry between him and Teddy. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. We did have a run of super chats here, so Ducky's going to answer those for you. From Aiden, Bills fan here. If we give the Chiefs a guy like a receiver, I'm going to lose my mind. Feels like our front office has lost the plot over the past 2 years. I mean, yeah, you keep giving stuff to the Chiefs. Like, hello, the team that keeps knocking you out of the playoffs. You let them get Trent McDuffie. Kind of. I mean, the Chiefs jumped them for Trent McDuffie, but...
He didn't like that statement.
But yeah, just trading a pick to the Chiefs so they can get the guy they want. It just... I don't know, man. The Bills front office has lost me over the years. Hey, Nate Wiggins! That's a Bell moment. Sorry, Ducky. This is going to be a little loud.
You knew it was going to be Nate Wiggins.
I did this in, I think, my most recent 3-round mock draft. I'm going to give this an A. I like Nate Wiggins here. So, Nate Wiggins, if he wasn't super slender, and I do have, once the graphics up, I got some highlights on him. But if he wasn't super slender, he just might have had a higher grade for me than Quinyon Mitchell. So if you can trust that he's going to stay healthy, I think he was a top 20 player in this draft. He's remarkable. I think the best compliment I can say about Nate Wiggins is before he ran a 4.28 40. Yes, I said that right. 4.28. It's a little fast if you didn't know that. My biggest thing I liked about him was how fluid he was, how quick he was, the quick trigger, the oily hips, as they say. A lot of times with these super speed corners, guys like Eric Stokes or Trey Waynes, there's a lot of guys with this type of speed that can't get in and out of their transitions and be as sticky in coverage as a guy like Nate Wiggins. But then when he ran the 40, I was like, oh, he's that fast and that fluid? Holy crap. He gets way too much criticism for being a bad run defender. He's not a bad run defender. He tries, he hits hard. He has the way he kind of gets up and celebrates plays and gets in guys, like he's a trash talker on the field. he has a little bit of that Devon Witherspoon, Jair Alexander dog in him. It's just the dude has missed time. He ran his 40, he pulled up, got injured at the combine. Can the guy stay healthy? That's the question. But I really felt like corner was as big a need as the Ravens had. And that's why I put him to the Ravens at 30 in my last mock draft. They've, I would say, shown a willingness to gamble on injury-prone guys. They took Ojabo. Bateman was banged up coming out of Minnesota, so I figured they were a team that might not be as scared of the durability stuff. Now, granted, over the years, that hasn't exactly helped them, but I think he's a phenomenal football player. And I'm excited to see him with the Ravens because him and Humphrey could be a monster cornerback tandem. Right, Ducky? Who you were just pronounced a Ravens fan 2 minutes ago, apparently?
Don't you feel like he's a Ravens fan?
I don't.
What kind of fan do you think he is?
I think he's... Oh, I think he might be an Eagles fan.
No. Is he an Eagles fan?
Yeah. I think he's an
God,
Eagles
he
fan.
might be an Eagles fan.
I think he is.
You're feeling it in your bones? 'Cause
I mean,
was
he...
feeling Ravens in my bones.
He likes to... I was going to say he likes to yap like an Eagles fan. He's kind of the guy that'll throw some popcorn at you if he doesn't like what you're doing.
Okay, we need votes. What kind of fan?
Yeah, chat. We need opinions on because Ducky needs a team. I was also kind of thinking Seahawks just because of the whole aquatic bird Ducky.
Yeah, he's not a Seahawk though.
No, he's not.
He might be a Steeler as much as I hate that.
Yeah, he might be.
He's
might
a
be.
yappy little bugger.
Not tonight. He's tired. All right. I want to make sure. Oh, Teddy wants to get up here too. Come here, Ted. Nope, he ran away. Definitely want to make sure we don't miss anybody's super chats before we get out of here. We got 2 more picks left. I do want to say, you guys, we'll be right back at it tomorrow. I'm going to get my software working tomorrow. I don't know what was wrong with it, but we'll be way more on top of it with the grades and the highlights and the Teddy cam and all that stuff. I'm so thankful you guys have been as great as you've been tonight. When the stream probably could have been a lot better with the stuff I had ready to go that unfortunately just didn't feel like working. So glad we were able to pivot and have such a great night. But I think tomorrow could be even better. So really looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. But with that said, got some more super chats here. From Aiden, wide left, wide right, wide wherever you want it, but receiver. Go Bills. So we'll see what they do at 32. I mean, they can still come out of this with Adonai Mitchell at 32. That'd be fun. That's okay, babe. You're good. From Grant, how do I feel about Thayer Mumford starting at right tackle for the Raiders? So when they took Bowers, that was my first thought was love Bowers, love what they're going to do with him. He doesn't eliminate Michael Mayer like some people might say he will. But what are they doing at right tackle? Because I don't believe in Thayer Mumford. I don't. So there's round 2 guys. Like you could get a Blake Fisher, Kingsley Suamatea as a project maybe. There's round 3 guys that I probably like better than Thayer Mumford. Javon Foster, Christian Jones. There's other guys in this draft, but we'll see what they do. The guy I would really like for them is Blake Fisher. From Brandon, calling my shot now, JPJ to the Chargers in the 2nd round and have the best young O-line in football. I love where you're going with that, Brandon. That would be a hell of an O-line, an ass-kicking O-line. That'd be fun. Love how this is working out for the Panthers. DeJean might be sitting there at 33, and then you can grab a wide receiver at 39. Yeah, there haven't been a ton of wide receiver picks, and then, if you can get DeJean for the Panthers in that system. Ooh, Ricky Pearsall. I mean, he's kind of Brandon Ayuki. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but that could signal Ayuk is on his last legs in San Francisco, because there was a lot of similarities there with a guy that can separate to all three levels.
What kind of grade do you think that is?
Oh, a grade.
Ducky
Gosh, you're so funny. I will give this a B+. B+, A-. It's a good pick. I'm not gonna rave about it as this incredible. Oh my gosh, you are too much. That's where my mind. I can't focus with Tucky doing this in my face. That was really where my mind first went, was what does this mean for Ayuk? Does this mean an overnight trade of Ayuk to Carolina for pick 33? Something to keep an eye on. Just gonna call my shot there. But Carolina just traded back up to 32.
My fault. Okay.
What's going
That
on?
was my fault.
What's going on?
The graphics. I thought the graphics were my fault, but it wasn't. They made it.
Oh, yeah, no, they traded up. All right, well, so much for the Panthers. That call blew up in my face as quick as anything I've ever seen. But interesting, Carolina. All right, our Panthers making moves. Buffalo's I don't want anything to do with this great draft.
Our Panthers, baby.
Our
Does the chat know?
Yeah, so we're moving to Charlotte. If you didn't know that by now, Anna and I in July.
People don't know. We currently live in Minneapolis.
Yep, we currently live in Minneapolis. I actually have under here.
Oh God.
The Panthers shirt is under. It's on under here. So
we're
keep
full.
pounding. You were supposed to do the pounding.
Sorry.
Keep
pounding. That much better than the Eagles.
Yeah, we did better than the Eagles chant. But no, we got to rewind. We got to talk more about San Francisco. We've been a little distracted here, but I mean, Pearsall, you can use him this year. You can find a way to put him in that offense. There's not a ton of opportunities for him as long as Ayuk is there. But if you talk about what Ayuk does, the immediate release, the rapid foot speed, easy acceleration, I would say good, not great long speed to be a vertical threat, good run after catch threat, a very good run blocker. He's not quite as thick as Ayuk, but he's not too far behind. That specific pick that they made screams to me he's our Brandon Ayuk replacement. So whether that means they're going to let him walk next year or they're going to trade him, I think that's one of those picks that has a narrative behind it. Please say Adani's name right. Please tell me how to say Adani's name right, because I know I've been getting it wrong. But the thing is, I've heard some people say Adani. I've heard people say Adonai. Yeah, check into that for me.
Can you please tell me his last name?
It's Mitchell.
Okay.
As far as Ricky going 31, I mean, that's fantastic. For him, he was a top 40 player on my board. I'm a big fan. I think he's going to be really successful in San Francisco. So what did I give it? B+ / A-. Again, I'll have a well thought, more official grade on it when we do our first round reactions. But I think it's totally fine. But it does also come with that caveat we've said on some other teams, who's playing O-line for you. But the O-line have been flying off the board. I like that better than reaching on Kingsley Samatea for sure. So Adonai Mitchell. Okay. We got it. I'm going to try to catch up on these super chats here before the final pick is announced. So Nathan says, been watching your content for several years. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you for the super chat. As a North Carolinian, is that how you say that? We're glad to have you. We're excited to be down there and excited to get this Panthers pick in at 32. a first-round pick for the Panthers after they traded one to the Bears that turned into a certain quarterback that's going to be pretty good for a long time. But from Krabs, there's room for Ducky on the Bears bandwagon. Okay. He said there's room for Ducky on the Bears.
No.
Ducky,
He's
the
not.
Bears. I don't think
I'm a
he's.
Bears fan.
Yeah.
I can feel in my heart.
We know Bears fans, and Ducky's not a Bears fan, I don't
Our
think.
dogs just,
Yeah.
they have their own team.
Yeah,
man.
they definitely beat to their own drum. Javon says, can we get TFG rosters on Madden for PC next year? That's up to EA to give us cross platform, because I can only handle one console. All right, Panthers selection, is coming in, and then Clemente, you're our last super chat that I got to get to on top of anybody else that comes in with a super chat here before we get out of here. But hey, let's go! The bell! Xavier Legette. He's the guy I've been pounding the table for Carolina for a lot of mock drafts. A pick for the Panthers. I love trading up. Underrated here. If you haven't noticed, wide receivers be getting the bag. So you get that fifth-year option on Xavier Legette for moving up a pick. I like that. And Buffalo, what you doing, bro? Your deep threats are gone. Great freaking work, Buffalo. I don't get it, Bills fans. I'm sorry. Literally, the two players I would have drafted for Buffalo. What are we doing in Buffalo? A whole another topic for a different day.
How about a gray baby?
We're going A on this one for Xavier Legette. So for the Panthers' sake, value's great. Love Xavier Legette, top 50 player on my board.
Homeboy.
Yes. Homeboy, South Carolina, just moving up the street. But I just don't know that Carolina could have done a better job building this offense for Bryce Young this offseason. They literally went from they need everything after what happened last year. Disastrous O-line. No deep threats, no separators. And they got all of the pieces to put back for the puzzle. They fixed the O-line, signed a bunch of good players. They get Deontay Johnson to be the short to intermediate separator. So when Bryce Young, when the blitz is coming, which Carolina was one of the worst teams against the blitz I've ever seen, without being hyperbolic here. So when that blitz is coming, you have a guy beating man-to-man, getting open. Deontay Johnson at that individual thing. I know he's got his warts, and he's had some abysmal quarterback play in Pittsburgh. But if you'd ask me who are the 5 best immediate separators in the league, Deontay Johnson might be on that list. Seriously. So you get that. You've improved the O-line to get better at picking up stunts and recognizing that kind of stuff. So you're buying more time, obviously. Then the last missing piece from that Panthers offense was about halfway through the year, you're watching Bryce Young and you're like, who is this quarterback? Because at Alabama, he was a headhunter. He was looking down the field. He had Jamison Williams and, all those great receivers at Alabama. His final year, it was a little bit less, but you go back a year when he had all those guys, he was a great deep ball passer. Well, he gets to Carolina and nobody's open down the field. Eventually, they reached a point where Bryce just stopped looking deep. And that's when you're like, crap, is he going to get broken? Well, you take one of the best deep threats in the draft in Xavier Legette. What's missing on that offense now, right? I mean, a running back and a tight end, well, you can find those guys. So I'm just really impressed by our Carolina Panthers. We were hard on them staying. So they fired their general manager who did a pedestrian job with their team building for years. They fired him, but then they stayed internal in Carolina. They got a lot of crap for hiring within. They're like, really? This guy came from the same front office that had all these issues. Well, he's done an amazing job, and I'm sorry I can't think of the new GM's name, but really love this for Carolina. For Buffalo, no idea what's going on with these trade downs. Amazing stream, you guys. Glad we could get one more exciting rant in there for the Panthers. But I do want to get to these last super chats on the way out. You guys, thank you so much. Like, seriously, so genuinely thankful for your amazing support from Anna as well. We are so lucky to have such an amazing community. But before we wrap, couple questions here. So Clement, what's been your biggest surprise pick so far? I mean, Penix. I still can't process the Michael Penix pick. I don't even know that I fully hate it. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about it, but I understand some of the process. So that's one I'm going to really just decompress and think about, like, whoa.
Well, and I also think it depends on day 2 and day 3 a little. Don't you?
I don't.
You think it'll stay the same? Regardless?
Yeah, I think it's that big of a decision that day 2 and day 3. I mean, they can still help themselves on day 2, but yeah, there's a lot to think about with that one. That was the big surprise. If you weren't going that route, who was it? I mean, there's a lot of chalk. Honestly. Yeah, I don't know if there was a ton of shock tonight. There wasn't that pick that was like, other than Penix, but it wasn't even like Penix was this crazy reach. It was just the team that took him was kind of weird. There wasn't that like massive surprise pick. So yeah, maybe we'll get a better answer for you as we really think about it. But from Selden, Davidson College, 30 minutes from Charlotte, plays St. Thomas, Minnesota in the Pioneer League.
Oh my gosh. Well,
We also just built a new stadium. Come to a game. We absolutely will.
Absolutely come to a game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my if in case you didn't know that, that's my alma mater. I went to St. Thomas. So I'm
Is he
assuming
on the team?
I don't know, he doesn't say that, but
We would love to come.
that's
to
a great tip. I didn't know that. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that. That's huge. But yeah, that's all we got for tonight. Obviously, we will be right back at it tomorrow night. Gonna get the streaming software working so that we'll be I did my best to get you guys the highlights on these guys tonight, but we'll be much more on top of it tomorrow. Although once we get, tomorrow night I'll have highlights for most of these guys. But yeah, Teddy Cam, easier grades, like you name it. Amazing stream as always, you guys. Thank you so much. We're out of here, and see you tomorrow. Peace out.